Realm where we roam, no need for faces, just memes we own. Chasing laughs in the echo of threads, where irony lives and seriousness sheds. Every click, a story unfolds in this cyber world that we boldly patrol. Yet behind each laugh, a silent scream, loneliness veiled where it's unseen. For every joke that we compose, a quiet echo, a truth exposed. Will you laugh with me, please? As we hide behind these screens, will you laugh with me, please? In this dance of memes and dreams.
Do you do that commute every morning?
I do, yeah. I'm tarmacking down there.
Oh, good stuff. So have you much tarring to do today? He said that he's furious.
Welfare benefits were cut for those under 26 in the budget.
All you have to do is listen for...
And Arthur Griffith was...
For your journey, as long delays are expected.
For you, and if you're pulled out tomorrow, you can pick a ticket. Which...
It has come to our attention that radio broadcasts on the planet have degraded to such an extent that there is nothing on the has been absolute rubbish. We apologize for the delay in our response, as the airwaves carrying this bullshit have only reached our star system today. We've dispatched two of our brightest agents in the field to rectify this problem.
Hey, folks, another anti-broadcast. Just so thrilled to actually be here on Friday, hours after an historic interview has just dropped. Conor McGregor. We'll get into that first in the show. We've got a good bit at the tail end of it for you as well. 18th of April 2025, just for my own notes, not because anyone out there is confused about the date. How are you, Morgan?
I'm good. I'm all good. So Conor McGregor interview with Tucker Carlson to look forward to. It is Good Friday. Today
Interesting.
that Brazilians killed our Lord and Savior, Conor McGregor. But an interesting interview to look forward to. We're a little bit late. We're at I was at the local Masonic Lodge, so that's why I'm late. And apparently not alone. Conor and Tucker decided that the best place to carry out the interview would be the Grand Lodge in Dublin. Strange location, I have to say.
Yeah.
Very odd. Wasn't expecting it. Had to check the tap for LSD earlier on today, just in case. You never know, or it could be a flashback. But I hadn't factored that. There were some rumors that Conor might have some Middle Eastern influence hanging over his head. That's been rumored on X, but I wasn't expecting a Masonic link. So I suppose if we look on it kindly, we could just say, okay, the Masonic Lodge, they do rent out the premises. That's a thing, so anybody can hire meeting rooms in the Masonic Lodge. But the Grand Hall is an odd place to have an interview.
Yeah.
Really love it. Two guys sitting on the checkerboard, it raises suspicions.
Yeah, look, it's not like Dublin is wanting for space, you know. For instance, I think John Waters would have kindly given his house as a place to film in, because it's fucking beautiful, man. He lives like a feudal lord back in the day, you know.
All right.
In this. Like it's just a gorgeous house. I'm sure he would have given it to those guys for pennies on the dollar. But the fucking Masonic Lodge, are they really that strapped for cash that they're offering that up for a good price?
Well, some people have been making that argument that it's relatively inexpensive to hire the space, which would make sense if it was you or I who was hiring this space, but not fucking Conor McGregor and Tucker Carlson. Like, they're not short of a few quid, you know. So it does raise eyebrows. Why?
I was trying to find this photo, right? It was the new doll government. I believe it was the government in the photo, because you couldn't get the whole doll into that photo. And was it the Oris that they were photographed in? A hallway, or what looked to be a hallway anyway, the way they were lined up, the way the perspective of the camera was on the checkered board. So we're seeing this repeated imagery. This isn't just out of the blue. And you have to consider that we have a very long history with the Freemasons and other esoteric societies that are adjacent to the Freemasons, or even just as influential as them.
Yeah,
So, is this the Freemasons coming to send a signal to the establishment to say we're running things now?
maybe. I don't know, because there's groups of people out there who already think that the government and pretty much the whole of elite society is either influenced or run entirely by the Masons. And so this isn't anything new. This has been a theme throughout history that the Masons and other influential groups have influence within governments and geopolitics, and then we can go down the whole Illuminati route with Adam Weishaupt, where he infiltrated, the Masons themselves, and then the Illuminati is born from that. But with that, we have to take on board that during the '60s, our friend Robert Anton Wilson and others did engage in Operation Mindfuck, to mess with people's head and get them to start thinking conspiratorially in order to bring down the governments of today. Which Mason, I can tell people is I can give them the all clear to let people know that was really a reason, one of the main reasons for the Masons to come into being was to tear down one, the papacy, and to do away with the whole feudal system, and then particularly kings and queens and what have you, and heavily influenced by the Enlightenment as well. And so all those principles of the Enlightenment are carried out within Masonry. But the problem with Masonry really is the secrecy that surrounds it. And when we have secrecy within any organization, but then it raises questions and conspiracies, and that's not a bad thing. But in Ireland in particular, we have, like you said, a rich history of Masonic influence. Much of our revolutions had Masons involved with them. Whether it's Masonry that's involved with them, or it just so happens to be a coincidence that a lot of the central figures, like Wolftown, happened to be Masons. The real issue we have with Masonry in Ireland, I think it's twofold. One, that it wasn't open to Catholics, so it wasn't open to the majority of the country. It was particularly associated with our English overlords, and it's a Protestant organization. And then we also have the whole problem with the Orange Order and its links to Masonry as well.
It's basically they dress like Masons, only with orange.
Yeah. So, it's a slight difference. But Masonry in Ireland, it's an old, like one of the oldest. I think the oldest Masonic artifact in the world was actually found in Ireland, of all places, in Limerick.
Wow.
At a place called Baal's Bridge. That's spelling like as Baal. Apparently, that's a coincidence.
Yeah, the anglicization of Irish names, but still,
But not even with the anglicization of the names, because the anglicization, like the original Gaelic name for this bridge, has nothing got to do with Baal or anything like it. Apparently, the bridge was called, it was one of the earls who the bridge is supposedly named after, and the earl's name was Boyle. So apparently, how it could
No, I don't buy that.
No, I don't buy it at all. So I'm much happier with the Baal. And so this artifact was the Mason Square, a brass Mason Square, and it was found and inscribed in the year 1507. With that, what were the words? By the rule and by the square, so for the Masons' rule or something like that. But it's an old influence in Ireland. Of course, if you're a Catholic, you can't be a Mason. If you're a member of An Garda Síochána, you're not supposed to be a Mason. But there's no restriction on government. Any TD or minister, they can indeed be members of the Masons and still hold political office. Whether Conor McGregor is a Mason. I don't know. There's no evidence to suggest that he is. Same with Tucker Carlson. No evidence to suggest that he is a Mason. There we go. What to say? Upon the level and by the square.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a fucking metal fucking thing to say. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of there's a lot of good knowledge within Masonry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just so happens that it's been corrupted. And again,
Well,
where secrecy reigns.
yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to sound like I'm fucking shilling for the Masons here. And when I say I'm a member of the Masons, I'm not. That's just for effect. Now that I've said that, it makes it seem even more suspicious. Why is he denying if you didn't? You didn't even have to say that. But no, I would be like
Operation Mindfuck.
Yeah, a Groucho Marx character. If I wouldn't want to be a member of any society that would have me as a member.
Right.
It wouldn't be worth it.
Well,
yeah,
just add something I heard, and it makes a lot of sense to me. It's it's not like this is written down anywhere or there's anything. It's not falsifiable, but the Masons as a spy structure for the crown of Britain, as well as to go into the colonies and set up commerce there and basically tie the place up commercially. And we see this happening around the world. Yeah.
And it would make sense, really, that if there is a threat to the established order, that you would want to control it. So there is a real and present threat to the Irish government and the order as it stands. That's undeniable, be it however disorganized. So what we see with Conor McGregor really is the first kind of organized campaign that could actually have some traction, because for the last, I don't know, maybe decade, we've been bemoaning the fact that Ireland has no charismatic figure. There's no opposition movement that really holds any traction that could bring things forward. But Conor, for better or worse, is that figure. And the fact that he's been given the push, so there's no real reason for President Trump or the American administration to invite him to the White House. You could argue that the likes of a Tucker Carlson, he could just be doing it cynically. Okay, it's a big guest, beloved in America, has 40 to 50 million followers on social media, but is a well-known figure and a beloved figure still in the United States. So it could be just a cynical, okay, well, here's the big guest. You'd have to be crazy not to interview him. I'm sure if we got the opportunity, we would, in a heartbeat, snap it up and go, yeah, of course, come on the show, Conor. We'd love to have you on. Why you'd have to be nuts not to. So there's no real reason for those guys to push him. But the argument could be made, okay, well, here's this figure. So let's put him in there. Let's have him, control that anger and shape it to the way that suits that agenda. And that would be to, control all that rage, because there is a lot of rage and there's a lot of testosterone flying about, as could be witnessed by the people present at his after event at the Black Forge Inn. There was a lot of dodgy looking characters floating about, let's put it that way. And that can't be denied, no matter, whose side you fall on. It simply can't be denied. A lot of the support comes from, working class areas, and, it's known for rough people and people
scumbags.
People who will fight, if not for the country, at least among themselves after a few points. And that was witnessed them at the shindig afterwards. Not to a great extent, but it doesn't look great when you've got particular people outside the pub bemoaning the fact that they were kicked out of the pub, and then they're saying stupid things like Conor McGregor follows me on Twitter. Don't you know I've got 300,000 followers on X and stuff like that. Just a little sad to see that kind of carry on. But yeah, I don't know where this Masonic connection is leading. But it could be, like you said, it could be to show the world at large, okay, well, this is who's in control, and this is our man, and anybody who has connections to the Masons would really need to think,
But how
have a
they
second think about blocking the man for running for presidency. Really, to my mind, by stopping him from running does much more harm than it could ever do to allow him to run either and win or fail.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget what rag I saw this on, but there was an opinion piece saying why it's a good idea to let Conor McGregor run and then watch him fail. And you couldn't gather what the gist of the article is. You don't need to read it because opinion pieces, come on, who reads that shit? But it makes sense from the establishment's point of view, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, all I can do is embolden him and the right wing. I don't even feel comfortable calling it the right wing movement in Ireland, because I don't think it can be quantified at all. Just the dissent. Anybody who's disgusted with the government, and if those on the quote unquote left could take their heads out of their arse for a moment and stop focusing on Palestine and transgender issues and nonsense like that, and we could really come together and sort the real problem at hand, which is at least let's get rid of this shower cunts that are a danger to everybody. But unfortunately, that's just pie in the sky. It's not really going to happen. But yeah, so by blocking McGregor, by not simply saying, okay, look, talking to their members, give him the required 20 votes either in the Dáil or have 4 councils, sponsor him to go forward and run. And then it wouldn't take much from their view and their connections within the media. They could, within 2 debates, televised debates, they could cripple him in the eyes of the public on RTE,
Oh, yeah, easy.
Yeah, I think they're that nervous and they're that terrified about any change to the status quo that they're not even willing to go that far. They just can't look, 2 or 3 steps ahead because there's that level of fear within the establishment that, listen, if we open this up, it could go terribly fucking wrong, where he could, in effect, become president and then just put glue in the works, so to speak. But really, by blocking him, and it's good for us because then it gives momentum to the whole movement, and it shows the world that, look at this country that's been held up as one of the wealthiest, most progressive places on the planet is actually an undemocratic shithole, and that's what it is. And especially to the American viewer, who won't have a real grasp on Irish politics and how the Irish presidency runs, it doesn't make any logical sense. How can you have a democratic society, but people simply can't run for president? I don't understand it. It doesn't make a lot of sense, where you have to be kind of sponsored by the government, you have to be kind of anointed by the government in order to just run as a president. That doesn't seem particularly democratic. And I think in the general understanding of the world, it doesn't appear as democratic because we have a very kind of limited notion of what democracy is in this country. And if you listen to our politicians carefully, they admit it themselves. They say it all the time, like our democracy. And we saw the likes of Leo Varadkar during COVID, when I think it was Ben Scanlon from Gript. Sorry, I almost
you're at it again.
From Gript, who put it to him about, they put out this feeler document to people about, I think it was about the referendum on motherhood, and 90% of the people responded in the negative, that they didn't want the constitutional amendment. And then Leo outright said, well, we only put those documents out to kind of, give the pretense of democracy. But in a democracy, people get to vote every 4 years, and then the government make all the decisions. And that's what we have. That's our version of democracy. Yeah. It's a representative democracy where, they put forward this, terrible choice every 4 years. We get to vote, and then zip. That's it. You have to shut up.
It's a republic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is how republics have worked for the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years that they've been around, is that they're just an extension of the monarchy, where the monarch says, sure, yeah, go on then, you'll kill me if I don't let you do this. So then a parliament forms. And then it's kind of a balancing act of like, well, who has the real power, the parliament or the monarch? And over time, it just became more about the parliament. But the nature of the power didn't change. It just shifted into different hands. And yeah, when you vote for someone, they go off and then they make all the decisions. And really, at the end of the day, the only reason those representatives are there is just so that they can come back home and rationalize why certain decisions were made and persuade us to go along with them.
Yeah. So we'll have a look at the interview. I've watched it twice now, so just once in passing, because I had intended to take notes and make timestamps watching the original, but then I forgot that YouTube Premium doesn't give you that option because it's not actually timed. It just gives you a countdown, so it doesn't have a live timer, so I couldn't timestamp it. So I went back, watched it at twice the speed, which is actually 4 times the speed, because Conor, being Irish, talks at an incredible rate of speed. Yeah. So do you have the YouTube? Do you have it queued up there at all? Ready to go?
I do not. Sorry about that. I got the wrong end of the stick there, but it's an easy job to take care of.
Yeah, there just wasn't time, because I didn't know this was happening. We were kind of wondering when it would be released. I thought it would have been sometime maybe next week that they would have released it. But
yeah, I was thinking after the big protest in Dublin. That's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it was a soft interview, but then every interview with Tucker Carlson is a soft interview, and it may well have been intended to put it out before the protest in order to help with numbers for the protest that takes place on the 26th of this month. So that's next Saturday, I think. So yeah, I might try and get up for that particular protest with the cameras. God,
I might join you.
Yeah, I just need to figure out. Well, what days did you give your children Easter eggs? Is it Easter? Is it the Saturday or the Sunday?
Sunday, yeah.
The Sunday. Okay, that should make it easier then.
Okay.
Okay, so I tried to timestamp this. What may end up happening is we may just end up watching it all and skipping, because there's a lot of jumping back and forth, and I still can't believe that we're looking at them in the Masonic Lodge.
Yeah, that's mind blowing, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where the master's table normally is, where they're sitting. So you imagine the master, the invisible master, will be just sitting at the head of that table there. Yeah, what a sight. They've taken all the kind of symbolism out, so the pillar would have been behind Conor there, and yeah, sure, anyone can go in and visit anyway. If you're up in Dublin and you're passing by the Dáil and that, drop in and have a look inside the Mason's Lodge. They're much more open about things now, which will tell you where we are as a society, that they're so comfortable they don't even have to hide anymore. They can just do it in the open.
I have to say, it's awfully fucking anachronistic to have the fire escape lights and the stickers and stuff in the Grand Hall. Like, if you're doing a Masonic ritual, don't you think that will kind of take you out of it?
Yeah, it takes you out of it. It shows who's really in power. Health and safety people. It's precedence over the power of the Masons, the power of the fucking the health and safety authorities in Ireland run everything. Yeah, so all right, so we start off. So Tucker begins. I have to hold my light here in case you think there's some ritual going on, because the lighting
telling us a spooky story.
Yeah, once upon a time. So Tucker, as he starts off, kind of like, how's the country doing? So Conor has a particular positive outlook on life, which is good to hear, because let's be honest, we're all fucking tired of hearing, how terrible things are, and it's the end of Ireland, and you may as well fucking.
And it was infectious, man. I couldn't help but get the goosebumps, and get excited and think, you know what, things can be better. Even though I think, Conor McGregor, really. But still, he's bringing it, man. I can't argue against that.
yeah, he is bringing it, and that's what people need. They need, they need someone to, lift the spirits, and nobody else is there. Nobody else is doing it, or no one else has the kind of gravitas and the charisma to do it.
And the momentum behind them in terms of finance and brand recognition. Yeah,
and influence. It's not everybody who can muster up a Tucker Carlson and be interviewed in the Masonic Lodge. And then previously having come from the Oval Office in America. It's fucking incredible, really. Like, and maybe a year ago, you probably couldn't even envision this, and people were, shouting at Conor, like, "Why don't you say something? Why don't you do something?
Yeah,
say something, say anything."
Wow, be careful what you wish for, guys.
Yeah, I don't think he called at the time, like, so I think his interests were elsewhere, and in all honesty, it takes a brave man to step into that arena, especially in Irish politics, where if you raise your head slightly above the parapet, you've almost got 6 or 7 fucking thousand guns pointing at you immediately, and the media and its the state and its organs will cripple you in an instant. So he deserves kudos for that. Where it will end, we don't know, but without this, essentially, it would be a Twitter thread, so at least this gets certain messaging out into the wider world, and will give people the courage to say what they're quietly saying in polite society, or in the pub, or when the children go to bed, like, yes, I think there's a problem with immigration too, and I don't really like it. So hopefully people will get some courage from it. So we play this to around the kind of 3-minute mark, and then we should be able to pause for a bit. So he talks about essentially the general outlook for Ireland, and talks about the Irish media and government elite. So we want to play it there, and feel free to pause it at any moment.
For having us.
Grab your attention.
This is Dublin's one of the great cities in the world, for sure.
The best city in the world.
You can make a claim to that. Walk around Dublin for a day, and then think of 5 better cities. Not possible.
I could do that easily.
It's an amazing place. It's an amazing.
Yeah. Can you think of 5 better cities than Dublin? I could think of possibly 10, 20. Your microphone's muted there, Howard. Wow, you're still muted.
Oh, fuck. There goes my joke. All right. Prague, Rome, St. Petersburg, Moscow. Shit. I was going to say Paris, but that's gone.
Yeah, okay. I have to contain myself because my negativity is coming through already. Like 16 seconds in.
To be honest, it did come off as a bit much when I first listened to this. I was thinking, come on, man. Dublin, really?
Yeah.
I know that, it's when you grow up in the country, especially you growing up in Dublin itself, you kind of get used to it, and you don't really look at what's going on around it. I will say it's one of the best cities in the world. Is it in the top 5? No.
You soon realize that when you go to other cities in Europe, that it's like, oh, this is what a city is supposed to look like. I think Dublin was a great city in like the 1800s. It was on a par with London, but
when the British controlled it.
Yeah, I know. Bring the Brits back. Who would have thought that? But recent times, and especially not in the last decade, it's a shithole. Really, it's gone to the dogs. Like,
why did they start with this? Because they're losing credulity right out the gate with Irish people, and maybe a lot of Irish Americans who actually know what Dublin is. The first thought is for people on the fence of like, oh, gee, what are you talking about? These guys are full of shit.
Yeah.
So I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah, maybe as a tourist, you might think that. And again, maybe we're just cynical, that we're used to it. So we don't see any magic in the city itself. We just can't, because we've been here so long, so we don't appreciate what's there in front of us. But I suppose as a tourist, if you're going to, you go up by the Dáil, you go up where the Masonic Lodge is, you see all the old Georgian buildings, you go to Trinity College, you're given a sanitized view of Dublin. Like, so you stay away from the north side, you don't go down Talbot Street, you stay away from all the icky areas, I suppose. It could be seen as a great city. Then you experience the nightlife. But
I like the nightlife in Dublin. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think as an Irish person, if you've been abroad, again, you just see how it pales in comparison to other cities, and that's okay. But he has to be gracious. He can't really come to Ireland and say,
I suppose.
Yeah,
Dublin's all right.
It's a bit of a shithole, I've been to some third world countries, and Dublin's up there.
Yeah, you're not doing too bad yet, guys.
Yeah.
All right,
so we have to be gracious, right? I'll be quiet.
Yeah, fair enough.
Country. How's the country doing?
Like a lot of countries in the Western sphere, it is being governed by people with ill intentions of its people.
Yes,
and they have not got the interests of their people at its heart.
No.
However, our country stays strong. Our people are strong-willed, strong-minded, and we are of amazing spirit. And it's about highlighting the issues that are going on. And as we have been doing, it's turning. We will get there. I am not going to sit here in front of you with a doom and gloom about the things that are going wrong. I will highlight for sure, but I will highlight the solutions and the resolutions and where we are headed, and keep the outlook positive.
Yes.
That is what has worked for me my entire life and my entire career, where I was able to rise up and do things that were once considered unattainable.
Yes.
I kept a positive outlook, and that's what I will urge my citizens and my countrymen, my fellow countrymen and women to do. And that's what we are doing. We had a great moment in the Oval Office with President Trump, where we got to speak, and before the press in the White House, where we got to speak our case. It was the first time it had happened in our history, really, where we felt as a people, someone spoke up about our issues. We often hear, and very hastily hear, about overseas issues or foreign affairs, and we hear about it so much that we are left scratching our head. Well, what about our issues?
Exactly.
What about the issues the people of Ireland face? And that is a rising sentiment that is taking place behind the doors of every household in the country. What about us? And
he's right about that in particular. You hear it online a lot. It's like, I don't care about fucking Palestine or Ukraine. What the fuck? Like, look what's going on here. Why are you guys so heavily invested in these issues when things are crumbling down around you? It just needs to be pointed out that he's bang on the money here. And either he has really good advisors, or he's on top of it. He's in it. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, you'd have to be fucking brain dead not to see that, And again, it's been a mystery to many people. Like, it makes no sense why our politicians and the opposition, why they're obsessed with Palestine. Like, I think more has been done for Palestine in the Irish Parliament than any issue facing Ireland. Like, it's not even spoken about, immigration into Ireland. It's I can't remember any real dull debate about it, bar a couple of independent voices trying to raise it during, Taoiseach's questions, like where they get their 2-minute slot. But there's no great debate around it. It's completely fucking avoided. And for the average person on the street, it just leaves them scratching their head. Like, well, why can't we talk about this? Like, why? What's the preoccupation with Palestine, Ukraine, COVID?
Yeah.
And anytime you turn on the television, it's, the other Slovene, what's his name? Simon Harris, again, he's off on a jaunt to Palestine to talk about this, that, and the other, like he's any influence over any fucking thing. So yeah, he's bang on the money. Like, it makes no sense for people. They just can't grasp it, I suppose from a political point of view, you could normally, under normal circumstances, you can say, okay, well, it's just not that fucking interesting for a career politician, where they have to get into the media cycle where, okay, well, I'm not really going to talk about local issues because it doesn't gain much traction. And anybody who's involved in any sort of, content creation can understand that. If you talk about something niche with a small reach, well, then it's not going to get the traction you need. So for a politician who's, next election depends on being, upfront and present in front of media, well, those issues aren't really going to take hold. So it's easier to talk about Palestine and Ukraine. And there's no drawback to them for that, because there's fuck all they can do about it anyway. Like, so no matter what they say, they're not, the outcome of what happens in Palestine or Ukraine is not dependent on them. So they can be the showman and say, oh, this should happen and that should happen. And then if it doesn't, it has no adverse effect on them either. But during this particular time, where we have a huge issue where the whole of society is being reshaped, well, then you would think like that will get you attention. But unfortunately, the system is so rigged that the only way you can get the attention is to just spout the accepted narrative, which is that anybody who criticizes this is, a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, spawn of the devil. And if everybody just shut their mouth and didn't say a thing, everything would be absolutely fine. But we can't have that, because generally people get upset when you start, fucking with their society, and they see in their own neighborhoods, which is every neighborhood now, they see it being reshaped. So they see new faces and they see people being favored over them. And as much as our government would like our country to be this global pluralist society, it's not, and it never can be, because they've discounted human nature. And I think there's still people still regard themselves as Irish, and again, they've trained us through the schooling system for the last 100 years. They drill this nationalist fucking program into our heads, and then they think somehow we're going to forget it all of a sudden. Like, it doesn't.
It's deeply ingrained. I mean, it's to be fair, it's ingrained for fucking thousands of years at this stage, and only amplified in the last 700 years under British subjugation. You might be able to push it down, but it's not going to come back. It is going to come back. What am I talking about? A great example of how the foreign issues are superseding anything else. We still haven't had a government form yet. Not really, not officially, right? Unless I dropped out of the news cycle. Maybe something happened I didn't notice. Because it's so fucking boring and repetitive in the Dáil. However, they have come together to do things. Like, for instance, a raft of laws to limit our rights. Aside from that, they've done things about Palestine. They've done things about Ukraine. Have they done anything to add to our society at all? Anything to do with housing or... take your pick from the multitude of crises around the country? No,
not a damn thing.
No, they'll just use it. They'll just use the opposition holding up the formation of government as an excuse that they're not doing anything to add to our lives. But they like it this way. It's a nice stasis for them to do nothing but torture us. We'll get back to it.
Now, the citizens of Ireland, not only do we not feel like first-rate citizens, we don't even feel third-rate citizens in our own country. So, we continue to highlight the wrongdoings of a minute government elite, and it is minute, and what they are doing. They are using intimidation tactics, they are using bullying tactics, they are using diversion tactics, they are using public funds and public wealth to enrich private people and private industries to alter the thinking of the public. And we say no more. And we are in the midst of highlighting it and continuing our motion towards the betterment of our country and the saving of our great country. Ireland is God's country, and you will not go against the nation of Ireland. We are peaceful, we are not harmless, and we will continue this journey onward
We are peaceful. We are not harmless.
Fact.
Amen. You could be describing the United States in everything you just said, that all the conversations about foreign policy in our country, it's about the Middle East.
Did you want to stop around here?
Yeah, we'll stop around there. So
Yeah.
I think that's that's going to be the catchphrase going forward. He mentioned that a couple of times, excuse me, during the interview, that we are peaceful, not harmless. And it's true, we're probably too peaceful in fairness. Irish people tend to take a lot, but you can only push people so far. And then they don't become harmless. Whether that will happen, if there is going to be violence, I'm not too sure. I hope not. I know a lot of people are calling for it.
Yep.
But very rarely there's a populist win against the government. But we may get some concessions. But sure, we can talk about that when we reach that point. We don't want to get done for sedition. In the meantime, but yeah, again, a good start to the interview. Like, he's doing very, very well. He's not as articulate as some could be, but overall, I think he's getting the points across. We haven't really heard this on Irish media in any event. Like, nobody's being, this conversation hasn't taken place. Like, you won't turn on RTE's prime time to find Conor McGregor sitting there, or somebody from the quote unquote nationalist movement sitting there and criticizing the government so openly. So I think we have to be thankful that at least we get to have this conversation and get it out there. And I see already, the left, the Irish left, they're starting with their smears, cokehead, rapist. That seems to be the call of the day for poor Conor. Like, I mean, come on, like, who hasn't raped a few people in their days? But he hasn't even been done for fucking rape. Like, he was accused of, sexual assault by, it has to be said, a dodgy accusation. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but it's shaky grounds, and that court case isn't over yet. I think it's being appealed. And it will be interesting to see if those who are accusing him of being a rapist, are we into YouTube long enough? Can you say rapist on YouTube, or is that forbidden?
It's best that you don't, but it's 45 minutes in. I think we're good.
All right. What's acceptable? What can you substitute rapist for? I know.
You know what? Life's too fucking short for this shit.
Right. Okay, so just a good old-fashioned rapist. Yeah, nothing like a bit of good old-fashioned rape. Where would we be without it, Don't outlaw everything. Like, there's no fun left on the fucking planet. Right, so we move forward. We go to 6 minutes and 5 seconds.
All right.
So they're asking Conor here about where he grows up, what makes the man. So if you can run that till about 8 minutes and 53 seconds.
Sorry, 6 minutes what?
6 minutes 5, so even in around the 6 minute mark. It's YouTube, so it's almost impossible. It's like one of those games in the arcade amusement, we have to stop it at the right moment, that it's almost impossible with YouTube.
What was it like growing up here? Where did you grow up? What were the circumstances? What was Ireland like as you were
Ireland's a beautiful place to grow up. Very, very community driven and family driven. And I grew up in a Dublin suburb off the city centre called Crumlin. Dublin 12 is the district. That's why I named my whiskey proper number 12 after my district. It's where my public house is that we will go after in Dublin 12, the Black Forgian. It's also home to the largest children's hospital in the country. So most people in Ireland have a relationship with the area. It's a rough and tough area also. And
was it growing up rough?
For sure it was. We moved out when I was about 17 years of age, and that kind of got me a little break from it, if you will. But I was 17 years of age. I had already made my friends. I was like an alien in the new place. So I always made my way back down. My boxing club was down there. My football club was down there. All my friends were down there. So although I moved out at 17, I never really moved out, so. But Ireland's a great place, full of great people. And
but it wasn't a rich neighborhood you grew up in?
No, it was not, no, for sure not.
Yeah, just stop there.
So you're 17?
Yeah, so he's right. Like, there's a lot to be said for, growing up in a a working class community. At least I have very fond memories of growing up in a working class community as a kid. And again, you only get to, maybe it's it's a case of looking back with rose tinted spectacles. But I just do. I have a lot of fond memories. Like it's just always out playing on the streets, having adventures in forests and going up the mountains, and then having street parties,
cycling around the town, and
just the level of freedom, and your parents allowed you to just be like, and that's how in many ways you learn to be an adult, because you have to have independence. And it just seems on every level now like that's the last thing government wants for people is agency and autonomy, where we have to be fucking minded every step of the way. And I think it's no small coincidence that 50 to 60% of our government have a previous history of being employed as either primary or secondary school teachers. There's this paternalistic. It's beyond nannyism. I don't really know what, like, it's this. We must treat the citizens of this country as infants, forever infants. And it's throughout society, because I see it with parents everywhere, and I even see it within myself, like this irrational overprotection of children. And it's because it's pushed from the top, like, because, the way our laws stand at the moment is like you can't say a disparaging word to a child, because that's illegal and seen as child abuse. You can't correct your children. And that's not to say that, you need to, take a belt off or hit them with a 4x4 across the back of the head. But even to correct children is seen as an act of cruelty. And, we get the sentiment, okay, well, apparently there was this time where your children were beaten within an inch of their life. I remember getting a few smacks as a child. Not the best thing to be on the receiving end of. But unfortunately, life is cruel. And we can't have a society where we just, beat the shit out of everybody who doesn't agree with us. But conversely, we can't have a society where there's no repercussions for shitty behavior, because we just end up in a terrible state of affairs. And especially adults, if we get adults who have never been, corrected during their childhood, well, then they're in for an awful shock in the future when they come into contact with people from other cultures who have no qualms about expressing their unvetted opinions. And when they come from particularly, let's call it, toxic masculine countries, and then you're faced with a populace of people who just, it's not within them anymore to, express a differing opinion, and certainly not to use physical violence, And I don't know if this is a deliberate act. I don't know if it's just happenstance, but I sincerely doubt it. It's almost like there's been some plan in the making for a very long time that would turn European masculinity into a slobbering mess, almost incapable of putting up a fight, and that certain people would be inserted into the culture to agitate. And I think, unfortunately, that's where we are today. But I wish that kind of childhood was available to my children. And even saying that, I'm, farming it out as if it's somebody else's responsibility, and it's not. And I think that's part of the problem, is that we've become so used to other people and government, setting the agenda for us, that people have forgotten what their own sovereignty is. Like, that sovereignty starts with the individual, and that you do have your own agency. And that if you don't have to comply with everything, it's impossible to comply with every rule they have. But I think people have just got it into their heads that because there's so many laws and so many restrictions, that the safest thing is to do nothing and to be overprotective. So really, I think it must be remembered. And anyone who's my age and, your age, probably anyone from 30 upwards at this stage, still has some memory of what it was to be a child back then. We didn't have, the comfort of computer games and social media as it stands today. And that it was a much more freer time, and people interacted with each other But that's really on us to get that back to some degree and, stop being so overprotective. So we'll give our young people some hope. But I just wanted to stop there and reflect on that because, I had a great childhood in the working class area, and I'm sure it's not just confined to working class areas. I've gone on a sideways.
No, not at all. That was very insightful. We'll carry on.
No, it was not. No, for sure not.
So you're 17. What did you? How far did you get in school?
I went all the way to my leaving cert. I was the only one in my family to do it, so I hold that out. I hold that.
That's fucking hilarious, man. Just had sorry.
Yeah, and again, from not unusual for a kid in a working class environment, not to finish school. Because it's I had no interest in school. Up to primary school, it's great. You do as you're told, but then you transition into manhood and you try to find your way in the world, and all of a sudden, you find it odd that these people treat you essentially like a dog. Sit, stay, go, and then you take umbrage to that. I was like, well, hang on a minute, don't I have a say here? And then they just slowly, the system grinds away at you. And unless your parents, tell you to listen, stick with it, stick it out, do this or do that, you leave or you're, expelled from school. So I would have been less than I left school. Well, I was given an ultimatum. It's like, if you come back after torture, we're expelling you. The principal, the last day at school, the principal pulled me aside and told me, listen, if you come back, you're being expelled.
You're not welcome here.
Yeah.
That is fucking brilliant, man.
So I said, grand. Yeah. Right, I'll see you in the next fucking life.
Personally, I did junior cert. Spent one day in fourth year, literally one day. Not even half of one day. And I was like, fuck this shit. Walked out and I never went back. But I was lucky enough to have people in my life to point me in alternative directions of education. And, that's another option for people as well is, if someone in their lives said, well, look, you're handy with the computer. I heard there's this course that you can take. There's very many options, many ways for people to go. And, obviously, Mcgrogor here, he went all the way through. Pretty fucking impressive. I wouldn't have thought it was him, but he still found his own direction. He didn't become a fucking accountant or something,
Yeah, that's it. He found his own way. He found his own way. And I suppose, for people like him, there's always it's never a straight path, and it's the same for everybody in that sense, you don't know what the path holds for you. So if you had have stayed in school and done the college thing, would you be any happier? Like you said, sitting in some office as an accountant, just going over, the thought of that is like, kill yourself fucking now.
Spreadsheets.
I know. I've had enough of them in my life. So from a personal point, I went back to school later, like when I was in my 20s and did it that way,
All right.
But thankfully, school has become a bit better, so there are more options now for kids who just aren't suited to being sat down and told what to do and what to say. So there are other options for them there, but the schools will steer them towards trades and what have you. But there's still a lot of room for improvement. I don't think we've actually had a serious look at the Irish education system since its inception. And we probably should, but we can't tinker with everything. But again, I just thought it interesting that Conor thought that. And again, something to be proud of, because it is a big step. If you're the first person in your family to finish school, or I remember my mother even telling me she was an outlier because she finished primary school. So that wasn't the case when she was a young girl. That most people left school before primary school had ended because the state hadn't guaranteed at that stage to anything beyond a primary education. It was a case of, okay, you reach the age of working, you're 13, well, go out and work because, poverty was, much more povertier back then. There was a different standard, like
yeah.
But now it's like, okay, well, you can't leave school until you get a PhD, But yeah, I think we need to roll it back a little bit as a society. Look at, okay, well, what's actually useful for society here? Do we want 200,000-300,000 people with useless fucking degrees, master's degrees and PhDs for what? And then maybe if we actually looked at what society needs, there wouldn't be this need to import, 400,000-500,000 people to do what exactly? I don't know. But yeah, anyway, we'll carry on. With Conor.
My leaving cert. I was the only one in my family to do it, so I hold that.
At what age did you leave? 18?
18 years of age. I didn't go to college. I went into an apprenticeship. It's either you get a job, you go to college, or you get an apprenticeship. And I got an apprenticeship as a plumber on an industrial site in Kiltiernan, County Wicklow, which was actually, at the time, it was the largest building site in Europe at the time.
Ooh.
And lo and behold, misspending, overspending, over budget, all the rest of it, backhander central, the thing fell apart. The ass fell out of it, we'll say. And that is one of my issues here in Ireland and the people of Ireland, the overspending that's going on. This is our public wealth being administered into private hands, enriching people to bring in this influx of illegal mass migration that is changing the fabric of my country. Ireland is very close to losing its Irishness, and we will not let that happen, and that's it. We must continue to raise our voice and speak our piece. It's almost taboo to speak it, and it has been made that way by our government elite. Like I said, they use bullying, they use intimidation tactics, they use our funds to pay our legacy media to push an agenda. They do not push facts, they push agendas. And
Did you want to stop around here?
Yeah, I can stop there. It's around.
Yeah.
And again, none of this is new to anybody who's been paying attention. But
no, but it's being said, and it just occurred to me, he actually did a good job in, he wasn't exactly, he wasn't prompted to say these things. Tucker would ask a question, and then 9 times out of 10, Conor will answer a different question. But he's getting all of the points, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's touching all the bases, everything that needs to be said, everything that isn't permitted to be said on national media here in Ireland is being said here. And again, it's not some echo chamber on Twitter. So this will be available on YouTube. You can bet your bottom dollar that it will be discussed in the Irish newspapers. Whether they will talk about the issues Conor's talking about, or they'll just do a hit piece on them.
No.
But again...
No, they're not. RTE headline here, McGregor requests democratic process before presidential election. And this Ava Connelly just talks about how, he wants the presidential race to be more democratic. It just completely glosses over everything of substance in the conversation.
Yeah, and typical of the establishment in Ireland, that they will take the least relevant point, and they might have a committee into looking at how the Irish selection process for president needs to be altered, and then 10 years later they might actually do something about it. But it will push this into the mainstream narrative. It will be further bolstered by the protest on the 26th, and dependent on how that goes. And essentially where this leads beyond that, if Conor, if he can manage to somehow form a party and, galvanize people, and I don't know, maybe, force an election. And that's all we can pray for, really, is that we have another election before the next election is due, which is, I think, is it 4 years down the line or 3.5 years down the line? It's not so long ago since we had the last election.
It's coming up a year ago that we had the last election, right?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. The time is a strange beast, you know.
These days, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just hoping and praying, like, so I keep having a vision that somehow somebody's handed Conor a copy of Machiavelli's Prince, and he's taken it on board and he's using it as a guideline on how to actually, do something within Irish politics, because we all know the run for presidency not going to happen. I can't see it. If it does, I'll be beyond shocked, and I might even give money to charity. Much as that goes against my core belief. But I can't. But again, like we said earlier, it's not really the point. The point is, for me anyway, is to get this movement growing. And there seems to be a blind spot with everybody who's criticizing Conor McGregor, saying, "Oh, he's delusional, running for president. It's not going to work." That's not the fucking point.
Yeah.
Really, this is how movements begin. And irrespective of how you think, oh, well, Conor McGregor is not suited for political office in Ireland. But of course not. The only people who are, ex-primary school teachers, accountants, and solicitors, because that's the kind of system. It's government. It's a management. It's middle management. We've said it 1,000 times. It doesn't select for people who have ideas, people who have passion. And maybe it shouldn't. As things stand, it shouldn't. But when you have a system that takes no account of what the people actually want, or even the pretense of that, well, this is what happens. If Conor was elected president tomorrow, what could he do? He could, put gum in the works. He could stop certain legislation from going through. But it wouldn't really change that much. The establishment would still be there. The order would still be there. So people have to look a little bit further down the line in terms of 5 years and 10 years, and then look behind the actual scenes. So Conor is the figurehead, the totem, but we need to dig, who's behind Conor, who's advising Conor, what circles is he running in, and that will give us a better idea. And again, for ill or good now. So it's not to say that everything is hunky-dory and everything is fine. Because, we've been waiting for this, let's call it a Messiah, given that it's Good Friday. But we must remember there are many false prophets to come before the actual Messiah arrives. Now, the Jews have got there. We can say Jew, or I've been told I can say Jew 5 times. The Jews have got their Messiah in Trump. Finally, I couldn't believe that there's actually sections of Jewish society that truly believe that Trump is the Messiah.
Oh.
Yeah, really.
Wow.
How could you not? There's never been a friendlier man towards Israel than President Trump. So we'll see if Conor is indeed the Messiah for Ireland. If not, fair enough. We were all fooled, but for good or bad, he's the best. He's the best hope we have for the moment. And
and this whole thing about his election chances not being all that great. Well, look, there was this guy, right, in the last century, and he changed the entire history of Europe itself, and he wasn't elected the first time either. It was Hitler.
We know. Charlie Chaplin, no. So, there's always a hidden hand. Thankfully, we've been giving imagery here to show where that hidden hand might be emanating from. But still bizarre to me to think that.
It's a fever dream, man.
But it is what it is. And, we have to look at the whole subject of masonry dispassionately, because it's very easy to just dismiss it offhand. But we must examine these things to see, where the truth lies, because ultimately the truth is the important thing, and especially if that truth so happens to align with my version of the truth, well, then it's much easier to swallow. But yeah, the truth is the important thing here. And again, just not to labor on a point, but again, for this to be pushed into the mainstream, or as mainstream as it gets, is incredible. 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, we couldn't imagine this would even be possible. Most people would just be crying into their beer thinking, okay, well, it's only here on Twitter and a handful of protests that people get to have this conversation. So this can only be seen as a positive. And Connor's right.
Yeah.
Have to focus on the positive. We can't be running around with loser scripts in our head like, oh, we're doomed. It's the end. It's the end. It's the end.
And that's what you get. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really, I let this pass. I didn't want to pause constantly. But I love the way he said, and this is how I command my fellow Irish to think as well. Like he's using the word command, like he's our leader, he's filling that role. He's saying, I'm commanding you to do this because that's what we need to do to get through is have a little more passion and optimism.
Yeah, and belief.
Belief in ourselves and just belief in nature or God or what have you.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the chat before we get into genocide and Goyim. Okay. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we will. We always do. At least once a show.
Yeah. Okay, where were we? 8:55. Right, let me back to these notes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can probably just let it play. So maybe we go straight into. Like it moves so quickly, like I'm almost shocked listening to the interview because they're like, you would think, okay, it'd be nice if he gets one talking point out, but from here it goes straight into the erasure of Irish culture. Tucker kind of makes the point that Ireland has, no history of colonialism in so much as we didn't go around the world and we didn't enslave other peoples. So why does this propaganda take hold in Ireland? You can't kind of fathom it. And again, we've had these conversations that makes no sense really to push this narrative of, that the Irish were somehow a colonial force and we have to atone for the sins of our fathers who went around the world, colonizing and enslaving other peoples, when really our history is one of being on the receiving end of colonialism. And then the question arises, well, who was responsible for this? That plays. I haven't timestamped when it ends, so maybe we'll just
we'll figure it out.
Carry it on with until
it's maybe at the end of the chapter that is.
So probably around the 11 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yep.
I've only been here 2 days, but I'm a little bit confused by it because Ireland is not like the United States in that you have an indigenous population of Celtic people called the Irish who've been here since the beginning of known history. And so it's not like you were invaders. You were also never a colonial power. You never invaded anybody else. You didn't have overseas colonies. You just kind of stayed on your island and brewed alcoholic beverages and
at the best brewery in the land. Not to be.
Listen, it was given. I mean, you never bothered anybody.
Yeah.
You don't have any national crimes to atone for. So I come here to Dublin, your biggest city, and not one advertisement on any public space has Irish people in it.
Yeah.
And it's clearly part of the same propaganda campaign.
Yeah.
Make white people hate themselves, make white people feel ashamed to be white. White people are criminals. It's like, okay, but why would they, who's doing that to you and why? Like, what is that?
I feel since the turn of the crash, our government elite have been accosted into full-time globalist traitors of Ireland. And they take their orders from above. And it is not even them. They are being ordered, and the orders are coming down onto the people, and the people have no say. We need amendments to the Constitution. We need to remove this tight grip that the political elite have over the public. And that is it. And that is our goal here eventually. I operated my businesses and my entire life on fairness. That is it. What is fair? What is correct? Our government elite do the absolute opposite. And it has to change. It has got to change. Our culture is being erased.
And you have a very distinct 1,000-year-old or older culture that's based on Irishness, the indigenous population of the island that we're on right now. And they're being replaced at super high speed. So you have said immigration is treason, mass migration is treason. Describe the scale of it to Ireland and its effects.
Well, in the olden days, my family, the Mcgrogor clan, treason is you're hung, drawn, and quartered if you commit treason against your nation.
Yeah.
So, what is going on here is an abomination, a travesty, and it cannot continue for much longer. As you said, we are an island unto ourselves, a small island, and we are being governed by a small people who are in turn being governed by another minute group of people, and it must stop, and that's it. There's so much worry in this government elite circle about myself running for president.
Yeah. So again, it's always the same, isn't it? When people ask, who's to blame? It's the small elite, and then beyond that, it's the small elite. And I think it's because nobody really knows who to blame. We can say, okay, it's the EU. And we know that basically Irish politicians have no real say in what happens on a grand scale, on the grand chessboard, as it is. We're a pawn for all intents and purposes on the grand chessboard. So all our decisions around sovereignty and how the nation moves forward is carried out in Europe. Then within Europe, as much as they say it's a democratic institution, we know it's not the case between the council and the unelected people in the EU who set the agenda. And then beyond that, the people who set the agenda for those. And so one of the things is, it's the Jews who are setting the agenda. It's the bankers. It's the elites.
The Rothschilds is one.
Yeah, the Rothschilds, and it's this person and it's that person. And I think that the problem is, one, how can you prove it? Two, what do you do about it? And nobody has the answer. And it would take a brave person to come forward and say, okay, well, then we need to exterminate X, Y, and Z, And I think it's, when people mention it's the Jews, I don't know, maybe it is. People look at the Clergy plan and the likes of that, and you can come down on either side of that. Oh, well, it's a conspiracy, or it isn't. But again, the bigger question is, okay, well, what can be done about it? And really, is it worth people's time and effort to go into that? Because what can really be done? Like, so if, let's say, the Jews are this, all-powerful entity that have all this influence in the world, and nothing really could be done about it. Nothing has been done about it, given the history of the world. And
knowing about it, no, that doesn't help the case either.
Yeah,
and so help us make better decisions.
No, so the question arises: well, okay, well, what can be learned from it? So if they are this all-powerful, all-influential group who nothing can be done about it, well, then what good does it do to go against them? So it's a case of, well, then do you acquiesce? If they are the God, the chosen people on the earth, what good does it do to fight them when there's no chance of winning? Do you, take sides with them? Do you accept that, we are indeed the Goyim, and that this is the future for humanity, where, it will be essentially a planet run by God's chosen people? Or do we look at their culture and go, well, what is it about this culture that has made it so successful? Is there anything that can be learned from it? Do we have to integrate the whole fucking thing? I don't think we do. But I certainly think it deserves to be looked at and studied to see if anything positive can be taken from it. Because, population-wise, it's not too dissimilar from Ireland, really. And in terms of global influence, Ireland doesn't really have much, We seem to be on the receiving end of fucking everything, and no real power to do anything about it. So I'm not sure what good it really does to be hyper-focused on the Jews. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe they are responsible for everything in the world. I just know as an ethnic group, they've been pretty fucking successful. And they have a pretty successful country. They have they're pretty influential the world around. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we can certainly have a conversation around that.
Yeah.
But I think, it needs to be looked at kind of dispassionately. Go, what is it about this culture? Is there anything we can take from it that we can integrate into our own society to make us stronger and more influential?
Well, what makes them who they are so successful, no matter where they go, is that they stick together, and they really have a tight knit community, and they support each other. They look for each other if they need something. They prefer to go to a Jew because they know what kind of treatment they're going to get from a fellow Jew, because they all follow the same book, right? They have the same understanding of the world. And I'm pretty certain that Muslims feel the same. I'm sure Mormons feel the same, or even some, a Protestant church in fucking North America. Baptists would prefer to work with Baptists. Sometimes, you get ethnic groups that prefer to stick together too, but it always enhances their chances of performing better in a society that they arrive in. That's the risk with Islam.
Yeah, and we don't have a large Jewish population in this country, but we have a large population that hates Jews, or not even hates Jews, but just has this fixation with Israel, and particularly on the left, and Ireland as a nation has pretty much gone out of its way to antagonize Israel. We spoke about this last week, so much so that the Israeli government up sticks and left Ireland of their own accord and took their ambassador out of Ireland. So we're picking this fight with a country who would basically hammer us on every front imaginable. Like we wouldn't stand a chance, And we've been doing it for a long, long time. And 4, maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little bit earlier than that, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But there was, an Israeli minister in their government who said that they would indeed deport all the Palestinians from Palestine and send them to Ireland as a recompense, given that Ireland on an international front has this, incredible hard-on for refugees. Well, then it would make sense, like, well, let's send them to Ireland. Let's make them Ireland's problem. And I don't think it's too much of a stretch from an Israeli perspective, to say, okay, well, they have this problem with Islam and they have this problem with Palestinians. And, I'm not excusing the Israelis for how they treat the Palestinians, but just we'll just put that aside for the moment. But basically, no real love for them, no real understanding or willingness to examine the issue from their point of view, what it is to live next to these people who, hate them and want them gone from the land, removed from Earth altogether. And then to have other countries side with these people. So then for me, if I was Israeli, well, then I would say, okay, well, here's my plan to make the world understand what it is and how we feel, is that I will use the resources I have and I will create mini versions of Israel and what it is to live with this threat of Islam in other people's lands. So then they will learn to empathize with us because they will experience it firsthand. And maybe, just maybe, if they hold that level of thinking, that may be part of the plan and we're experiencing it today. And I know Conor, but I don't know, but I have an inkling that he will be favorably inclined to agree with Israel policy, especially if he has the backing of the United States. I can't see him coming out and criticizing Israel in any way, shape, or form. And I believe if that's how he feels, he should. But if we're going to play this, game on the grand chessboard, well, then we have to start thinking like chess players and not just let it all spill out and be all overly emotional. Oh, I hate the Jews. You have to recognize, who holds the power in the world and keep your cards a little bit closer to your chest. yeah, so it's just this fucking Jew problem, because it is a problem on many fronts, like not just. But I don't mean like I'm of the mind like that. We need to learn from these people and get along with them if we can. But the deeper you look at the problem, and any problem really, ultimately it ends up the best solution for everybody. The easy solution is just to kill everyone fucking else. So it's only your group. It's only your group left on the planet. But unfortunately, for an Irish mindset, it's the inverse of that. It's okay. Well, let's kill ourselves first, so everyone else is happy. We seem to have this death wish, where it's like we'll bend over so much that we'll break our own spines in doing so. So people say choose your friends wisely. Choose your enemies wisely as well, especially if you're choosing them. You may want to hold your tongue until you're in a better position to actually do something about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
what are we going into next?
I'm not sure. Where were we? Yeah. So the erasure of Irish culture. Again, he didn't really answer the question that Tucker put to him. I don't know. He asked about the scale of it, wasn't it? So to my mind, it's pretty much off the charts, really. Okay, yeah. So now he transitions into trying to keep Conor away from running for presidency. And the question arises: well, how is it actually a democracy if a citizen generally can't run for presidency? So we can keep that there. Again, it just continues on from the 11:30 mark.
Oh, right. Okay.
So we'll go to about I think then up at kind of the 16:50 mark, it goes into an advert. After that, we'll jump to like 18 minutes, 35 seconds.
Right.
So just let it in there until the 16:50 mark. We should be good.
If we are a true democratic nation, which we are not, and I don't believe so, and it's becoming more and more clear and more evident, and the more Irish people are being awakened to this fact. But if we are, let the people decide. It is this cozy clique where you have to almost bend the knee, to even have a shot at this. We should be on the ticket, and a citizen of Ireland should be allowed to be on the ticket above a certain age, of a certain creed, and let the people decide.
A ticket to run for president.
Ticket to run for president. That is it. I do not.
Well, wait, hold on. Why? This is a democracy. Supposedly, why can't you run for president?
Because there's stipulations. You have to get 4 county councils, which are controlled by the government parties. You have to get 20 nominations of the Oireachtas, which are all mostly party affiliates.
So you can't just run for president.
You can't just run for president.
So how is it a democracy?
Yeah, there you go. How is it? It isn't.
Oh, are you going to do it anyway?
I'm going to push forward and carry on my journey, highlighting my country's plight, my country's fight, and also my country's delight. I do not want to be doom and gloom here, as I said.
Yes.
Dublin is the greatest city on earth, and Ireland is the greatest country on earth. And I know as an American man, you're probably sitting there in your chair, but we love Ireland dearly, our people.
No, I'm not actually.
Yeah, so again, I suppose, if you're looking at it, well, why can't everybody run for president? Again, it would be just a logistical nightmare if everybody could.
It would be a shit show, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be a little bigger process like you see in other countries where you have like runoff elections and things like that, where like people have to turn out to vote like twice or 3 times. Yeah.
So it would be a shit show really if it's just okay. Well, anyone can run for president, and we're done with it. But that's not to say, well, then nothing else can be done. Like it shouldn't really be dependent on 4 county councils or 20 members of the Dáil.
Yeah. How about a certain amount of signatures?
Yeah, that would be the logical thing, wouldn't it? Like 100,000 signatures, or what's the population of Ireland? We say
shy of 6 million. Yeah.
6 million. So we say what? 3 million adults or 2 million adults or something like that. So 10%. I think 100,000. Yeah, I think 100,000 signatures is fair. Or maybe even 50,000 to make it That seems too.
50,000. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's hard to get to, but not impossible. So
Yeah.
you'd have to be fairly, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to be in there with a
Wanted.
shout, and not just some fantasist,
Yeah,
and I think Conor could get the 100,000 signatures, if we're being honest. I think at this stage, purely either people who actually believe he could make a good president, or just people like, okay, well, fuck it, like anything is better than what we've had in the last
vote. Yeah.
And so I think, so that's a fairly simple solution to the problem. 50,000 signatures, and we can still keep the 20 votes in the Dáil and 4 councils to keep the establishment happy. But again, if it was a fair system where we didn't have party politics within Dáil Éireann and the councils, where essentially the same 2 parties had had control of the state since its inception, well, then it might be okay. Well, then, fair enough if you can get the votes of 4 councils or 20 politicians, well, then it would be an even playing field. But it's not. It's heavily stacked against everyone outside of the 2 established civil war parties in Ireland.
Well, it's designed to be that way. That's the nature of the republic. It's not a democracy. People, especially Americans, sadly, have no idea what the fuck democracy is. Their government isn't a democracy. It's a democratic republic. It has democratic qualities to it. And the idea of the republic is to keep it stable, to keep the country stable. And you don't want random guys just showing up, upsetting the apple cart like Conor McGregor. But sometimes it's fucking necessary because things are going too far in one direction.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. You can't really have a situation where you have these people on a daily basis proselytize about how an amazing a democratic society we have, and they present it as if it's democracy is this all encompassing, where the citizen is all involved in everyday decision making, but then never actually tell the people how it actually runs and the reasoning behind it, and that it's terribly limited. And then you never have that discussion in school. Well, what is the best system for a country? I don't even remember hearing once in my schooling about direct democracy or really anything out to do with a political discussion whatsoever. I'm sure they do in certain private schools where, individuals are groomed at an early age to become politicians, but you can't really have a successful country or a country at peace with itself if you're essentially excluding the vast majority of the country from ever having any real power or say in how their country is managed. And that would be fine if it was a case of, okay, but you don't want to participate in the system, then you have your 10 or 20 acres and we'll just leave you to yourself. But modern society doesn't run on that basis. It's essentially, okay, whether you want to buy in or out of this system, you've no fucking say. You are limited to basically your vote once every 4 years. That's it. And then you must abide by every single law that we bring into existence. And there are so many laws that you will need 6 or 7 lifetimes just to get through reading them and understanding them. So there's a massive disparity there. And then just to hold this, democracy up as if it's the greatest thing in the fucking entire universe is bananas. I'm horribly distracted. Does it look like Tucker's growing horns out of the center of his head in that freeze frame, or can you see it? I'm just on his brow there.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, sorry. I'm easily distracted. Okay, run it on from there, Roisin.
Actually, I'm just the opposite. I'm thinking you've got a claim on being the greatest country.
You've got a claim, for sure.
Do.
And it's worth fighting for. And that's it. That's what
But why wouldn't people... I know the media here hates you, but I've never understood why. I mean, you're not calling for invading anybody or throwing anyone in prison, maybe other than your corrupt leadership, who sound like they deserve it. Why would they hate you?
I'm just calling for our national safety. Right now, our national security is at risk,
and
that is a fact.
He's not going to address why he's hated. So he's hated for a couple of different reasons. One, to my mind, is his character. Irish people generally don't like somebody who's braggadocious. They don't like somebody who has, sex crime allegations against them. Nobody generally does. And thirdly, and most importantly, and something that's not spoken about very much in Ireland anymore, is it's classism. It's rampant in Ireland. It's because of his background, where people despise the working class. Maybe working class isn't even the right term for it, but he is working class. It's not like he's some scanger who made all his money from coke deals. The guy basically finished school. Straight out of school, he went into an apprenticeship as a plumber, and he realized there was no real future in that, or he basically had the good sense and intelligence to go, well, is this what I want for my life? Like fucking, working 8, 9, 10 hours a day, fixing toilets and going onto these building sites and seeing how, corruption is rampant, all the backhanders. No, he saw, okay, well, there's this thing called mixed martial arts that he has a talent for, and he'll focus all his energy into that. And then saw it back then, like envisioned it back then, that, this is the way for me, this is the path forward, and then became the world fucking champion and a multi-millionaire. And through that, and then beyond that, had successful businesses with breweries and branding organizations. So, the guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars and is hated. And let's remember, he was hated before. He was hated in Ireland before any of these allegations came forward. And I think, again, most of it is to do with the class where he's from. I could guarantee you, if this was some, well-to-do guy from D4 who had the right accent and the right political outlook.
Okay, you use the word despise, and like also, who's this Irish group that despises the working class?
The middle class, Fine Gael voters.
Really?
Maybe you haven't seen it. Maybe I'm wrong, but from my life experience, I've mixed in a lot of circles.
All right,
when people get comfortable, they talk about particular classes, especially when they don't think you're from one of those classes. Because my accent betrays me.
Yeah.
So people, and especially Irish people, it's very hard to get an Irish person to tell you what they actually think unless they're comfortable and have an idea about
and maybe 3 Guinnesses in.
But now again, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but in my own personal life, I've seen it expressed enough. I've seen it expressed online as well, the criticisms about Conor McGregor, and some of them are valid, but there's a lot of it which is just pure
classism. Also, I'm sorry, but a fella from D4, he's going to get pushed back as well for being a fucking a twat, a D4 twat. With the rest of us outside of the Dublin enclave, we don't really like those people. Like, come on.
But it's still classism. Like, it's still classism. Just in a different direction.
I think Conor being himself, in his context of MMA, I think for the most part, everyone loved him. Not everyone, but most people loved him. Like, honestly, they did. I think that was fine as long as he was in the context of, I'm a fighting man and I have this attitude about me and I say wild shit. We expect that. So I guess that is classism. However, it really went bad for him when he started talking shit about being at war and all that. I'm sorry. I knew where I was going with this, but I've trailed off. Sorry.
No, you're all right. But there's a lot. Like, there's a lot of reasons to for people to not like him. And maybe it's just touchy for me.
Yeah.
But there's just the classism, like it's
Sorry.
to
I have to
pretend. Sorry, go on.
I have to cut across you there. I know where I was going, right? You said he's not addressing why people don't like him, right? But he was getting into it where what I think is that his behavior and his character are being used as excuses for, the fact that, he's racist or what have you, It's dirt in the political jargon that is being used against him to invalidate his message.
Yeah, well, the problem is we have this faux sanity in politics, where every politician has to be squeaky clean and can't be seen to say anything controversial anywhere, and often to their own detriment, where they have to agree with everything that's considered, progressive and politically correct. And again, behind closed doors, I'm sure it's a different story, because I've never met anybody in real life who is as clean as a politician presents themselves, where they can't offend anybody, apart from those who it's okay to offend. Like, so it's okay to offend Conor in this instance, or people seen as far right, anybody who disagrees with government agendas or narratives. So anyway, we'll play on. We need to take breaks, and we'll take a break. I think when this breaks as well, I need to get a cup of something into me. Right, let's carry on.
We are being overrun, and it's a danger to the public. And on top of that is our overspending of our public wealth. It is preposterous, the splashing of our money on issues that have not got to do with us, and two, that actually directly put us in danger. And these are my issues that I wish, we'll say, run on our campaign on. You ask about my political aspirations. I am of the belief that the era of the politician must end. It must come to an end. It has proven unfruitful, and that is clear as day by the statistics and by what we see around us. It is straight chancery. Our ministers and our appointed ministers have no history in the roles that they are appointed to. Our Minister of Finance has no history in accounting. Our Minister of Health has no history in the health industry. Our Minister of Education was never a school teacher, as an example. It is straight chancery we are dealing with. The era of the politician must end, Tucker. And I can see with the selections of the Trump administration that we look upon, which has been 24/7 work rate from my vantage point. Trump, a businessman. He's running it more like a business, and with common sense. That is where I would see it more so than these politicians, where they're all in this clique and it's a party. They are working on behest of the party and not the people. They are working to curry favour within the party to rise up the ranks, and then the heads of the party are working to curry favour on the people above them again to rise up another rank. It serves the country. It does not serve the country, and that is it. I'm simply highlighting it, putting it out to the people. If they wish for me to run, whatever my nation wants, I'm here for. That's it.
CNN has described you as the leader, and I'm quoting, of Ireland's far right.
Who has?
CNN, which is a news channel in the United States.
I love it. Like, everyone knows what CNN means. Yeah, I love that. Big timing. Yeah.
It's a little bit worrying that he's calling for an end to any sort of democracy. Yeah. Just fuck it. We need a king, and I am your king. Let's have the country run by businessmen. Okay. I think there's a name.
That did, stick out to me as weird. Like, as opposed to what? Yeah.
Let's go for oligarch. Oh, fuck it. Let's just jump straight to tyranny. But yeah, I suppose we get the sentiment, which is dangerous, really, where it will get to, such a state of affairs that people will go, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do away with, democracy altogether. What we need is, a strong dictator, a benevolent dictator, which would be nice. But I'd need a couple of ones to choose from before I commit to it fully,
And then be able to change your mind later. Oh shit, we're back to democracy.
We can. It's unfortunately we're in a terrible bind. We have to see what's the least worst system for us to abide by. But we get the sentiment. But that's where you want to that's where you need an advisor. It's like, shh, like wait until you're in there before you reveal your plan for fucking total domination of the country. But a bit strange that it's like who, like CNN, who. It's not RTE on the world scale. All right, I think we're coming up to the break now, so just play it on again there, please.
1 second. I hope I'm not being fucked with here. Oh yeah, stream suspended. We're not on YouTube anymore
because of Tucker's fucking thing. Jesus.
Yeah, you can't watch Tucker Carlson's fucking interview. In fair use and fair dealing. Yeah, that's just great. That is.
Wow.
Yeah, are we still on X? Let me check that.
Yeah, we're still on X.
Wow.
Okay.
How about that, huh?
Yeah, and
so that is a warning on our thing. No. Oh, video blocked. No. We're not getting any kind of a warning here or anything on the channel. So who knows?
Maybe that's the follow.
Oh shit, we're back.
Oh, that was weird.
Huh. I guess it was flagged and then someone changed their mind.
Okay.
In YouTube land. Jesus. I guess thank you, but also fuck you! I'm sick of your fucking shit! I'm fucking sick to death of it!
All right. Okay. There you go. I got it. See what happens when you're nice to the Jews, and they put you back. they shut you down with the.
Oh my god! Maybe that's what it was. You talking about the JQ?
Yeah.
Have we got still live? Fuck YouTube, Sean Lenkus. Thank you. Yes. Oh my god, that was weird, man. I didn't. Oh, that is the. And now there's this hole in the stream recording. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna upload it from Kick to YouTube. Fuck it. Fuck them. All right, we're back.
Right. Yeah, hang on. Stream unavailable. I just want to check that everything's okay. No, it's showing for me is stream unavailable. Why is that? Stream unavailable. Stream suspended for policy violations.
Oh Jesus! Oh, maybe when I said "fuck you, YouTube," I'm sick of your shit. No, not getting any notifications on. Okay, that's weird. I really thought we were back. Wow.
No.
Huh.
Okay. Yeah, you can't even comment underneath it, can we?
No, it's gone, totally. Right. Okay. I guess that's it. We were back for a few seconds, but then they decided. Yeah, when I flipped out at them.
Right. Yeah, I suppose can we edit the description? Or no, it'll be gone in a minute altogether, won't it?
Oh no, it's just gone. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's hang on.
Still showing up in search.
Oh no, we're back. We're back now. So my YouTube must just be behind itself or something.
No, I think they're just being inconsistent. we're back on my end as well. So
Yeah. All right.
weird. Okay, thanks for nuking all our viewers, guys.
All right, we got 4 watching, I think. Okay, that's not bad. They'll come back.
No.
Yeah. So this is a problem we've been having with YouTube continuously, and eventually we're going to move over to Kick. So we'll have to put a kind of permanent link in there that we can throw up for people with Kick. Look in the description anyway. For this, but going forward, I think we'll just put up a QR code. That way, people can come over to Kick. But if you're watching on any sort of regular basis, YouTube is handy. But just have your Kick link ready in case if the stream does go down. That's what happened. It's for the last 3 times out of 4, it's been for a copyright violation. But to our minds, we're not doing anything. It's all within the realm of fair use. But YouTube take a different approach, and Kick don't seem to be as fussy. Maybe it's because they're just not as popular as YouTube, and I don't know. But in any event, just make sure you have the Kick channel ready to go, so you can follow us over there. So right, let's see how far we get with the rest of the YouTube video, because
I'm sure we were given the all clear by someone in YouTube, which is miraculous, really. It's just, I wish they could notify our viewers that, hey, this channel is back online. Take a look at it. All right, are we carrying on?
Yeah, carry on. I think we're due a small break anyway.
Yeah.
Far left, far right, all of these terminologies mean nothing to me. I'm a family man. I'm an employer of the country. I'm a supporter of many people, and I care about my land and the safety of its citizens and the prosperity of its citizens. I want preference. I want peace, preference, and prosperity for the citizens of Ireland, for my people. And isn't that fair for our countrymen and women? It is our country. Ireland is for Ireland. And that is it. So I'm not right, left. I feel I'm centered, grounded. That is what I feel. In fact, I ground myself every day. I walk out and I ground myself every day, barefoot in the grass. Barefoot is king. I fought in the octagons, in the cages all around the countries of Ireland, and then into the United States of America, barefoot. So I am a grounded man, neither left, right. I am center and grounded.
America has thousands. We can pause there. Yeah, he needs to stop with that. He can't do that well at all. He can't do that pre-prepared.
Do what?
That fucking pre-prepared speech thing, that kind of rallying the people. I am this, I am that. I ground myself in the morning. I am king. Like that kind of, what do they call it in wrestling terms? When they do their piece to the camera.
I don't know wrestling.
We have to. We're going to Kick. You have to get into wrestling mode. We have to get familiar with wrestling and wrestling terms. Okay. We'll pause it there, I think, so we can regather ourselves and get over that fucking unnatural break thanks to YouTube.
Yeah.
Do you have any AI music lined up for us?
Well, I have something. The music video of the Battle of Kulak that I made a while ago. Shall we play that?
Yeah, sure. How long does that give us?
1 second. Searching the keyboard will make it easier. 6 minutes. Okay. And I can put something else on if it's necessary.
Yeah, okay, great.
All right, so this is what Conor McGregor believes he's fighting for. I don't know. Do we agree with him on it? That is he really behind us? Well, we're fighting alone either way. Back in a bit, guys.
Oh, no. Jesus! Sorry!
What's happening here, Garrett? Can you tell us?
How do I be arrested?
I'm a reporter.
You may
Garrett.
face. You're not a reporter.
I am a reporter.
You may face arrest.
You don't decide that.
You may face arrest.
Yeah.
And on that, you may face a fine or
Go ahead. I've had this before, and you lost the case.
Okay. What's your name? What's your name?
I don't answer questions.
In accordance with section.
I don't answer
in accordance with
questions.
section 24.
I don't answer questions.
I'm recording this as well. I'm demanding your name and
Is your
address.
name
What's your
Alan
name?
McDermott?
What's your name?
Is your name Alan McDermott?
What's your name, please?
I don't answer
You're
questions.
now under arrest under section 8 of the Public Order Act for refusing to comply with my directions.
Go ahead. What's your name, Garrett? I'm a reporter. Philip Dwyer, citizen journalist.
You're not your camera there, please. Excuse me. You're a prisoner now.
You're a prisoner now?
Yes. Thank you.
Right, guys, I've been arrested for standing here. What's going on? There's no public order going on here.
Back in line, lads, back in line.
You go on back over there. I don't want you getting involved in this. Come on. Whatever, I have to be here.
I'm only thinking of my grandkids.
I know what you're thinking of.
I'm thinking of grandchildren. My grandchildren. Shouldn't be fucking here, but why wouldn't I be here?
Exactly. Fair play to you.
More like you. Right to talking it. 78 years of age, and that guard stuck it into my face and sprayed me all over. Standing here peacefully, I'm only thinking of my grandchildren. And I hope everybody else is thinking of their children. Because the country is being ruined.
Yes, scumbags.
You fucking bastard! You fucking bastard! Jesus fucking ass!
You alright?
You fucking bastard!
That's disgraceful.
Fuck the state and the fucking EU, you scumbags! Fucking Trump!
Let them get the woman out! Let them get the woman out, will you?
Plant that! And it's going to get succeeded and go there for the paycheck! You say? Don't be ashamed yourself! Gas up and heart! Someone like me, I have a love and a loyalty to this country. I wanted to join Guard. I had that motivation in me. I wanted to join the army. I had that motivation in me to protect and serve. No! The battlements will continue until the plantation is complete. We've already done it once before. The British Empire. 800 years we stood up against them in defiance. Forced plantation. Genocided from our own villages. Scattered to the four corners of the earth. Your pay!
Hey, buddy! You alright?
Makes no difference.
You alright, man?
Makes no difference. Because in the end, truth will prevail. And the Irish people have always had truth on their side. Yeah, because as Pierce said, good fight with small battalions.
Fuck you!
Whew. I made that video, but it gave me goose chills all the same. We are indeed at war. Conor McGregor will touch upon that, but not very well, I have to say, in the rest of this interview with Tucker Carlson coming up. Like, if that doesn't look like war to you, then I don't know what would look like war. Civil war, however you'd prefer to call it. When the state is just freely doling out punishment to citizens just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And the YouTube stream is suspended again. It's just on and off at this stage. It's on and off. It comes back. It goes back on. What is going on here? There's no official strike that I can see on the channel dashboard. You would think that that would be automatically reported. Perhaps we've said something that we shouldn't have said. We gave a level-headed conversation about the conspiracy about the Jewish people. That's the worst thing that we've said. Saying nice things about Conor McGregor, maybe. I don't know. But I seriously doubt that whatever company Tucker Carlson owns or is part of has given content ID already to the McGregor interview. That that would be pretty early in the day to be doing, I think. And yeah, it would be kind of scummy as well. I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. The link that I gave to the Battle of Kulak in the YouTube chat was added. So maybe the stream was going during that and got taken off again. Maybe maybe it's the footage that was being shown in that video, and if there is a concerted effort to suppress that footage, I think I remember. Oh yeah, wasn't it? Yeah, Gripped Media had footage of what happened in Newtown, Mount Kennedy, wasn't it? And they were they had the Gardaí unlawfully, really, submit a court order to snoop on their Twitter and possibly YouTube, etc. data, just so that they could find more footage for some reason that, you know, maybe they were hiding footage on their social media but not making it public, which makes no fucking sense. Whatever. It was a fishing expedition, as we discussed on a prior show. But you also have a push now to stop citizens from recording the Gardaí in the execution of their duties. So we're living in hairy times.
What the fuck is going on with the stream?
I don't know, man. It's on and off, on and off, on and off.
Yeah, I've just noticed that now. I've gone back into it and it's like skipping in and out.
Yeah, and there's no violation notification on the dashboard either. So I think this is us being told that we don't belong on YouTube. At least our live streams don't anyway. So we'll just take that for what it's worth. And look, we'll just keep going live until we get a warning that we can't get rid of. Because we don't want any strikes. So we take the warning, the slap on the wrist, and then we stop going live on Fridays on YouTube. And we will push the link for Kick early in the show next Friday going forward to push people over there, because it seems to be that that's the only place that you can really speak freely. Like, we're still on X, but like X is nothing. How does anyone get any traction on X? Because we see here in our counter, oh wow, we have 27 viewers, but no, it's views. If people scroll past the video, it's counted as a view, and it doesn't go away. It's not a concurrent viewer count.
Okay. Anyway, all right. I think it's every time we play the fucking Tucker Carlson clip, they turn us off. Is it? Because
it must be something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because looking at the YouTube channel now, it's back again. Or is it?
Oh,
it has, yeah, but it has. No, it's gone again now. Jeez.
Oh yeah, no, it's back. Yeah, it's back.
No, hang on.
No, it's gone again.
Someone having a fit in YouTube, because it keeps coming back with for 5 minutes and 56 seconds. Close to 666, but no, 556 for some reason. Anyway, we'll carry on. We'll cut the rest of it up into clips for people, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right. So where were we? We were at was it 11?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I lost the video. Shit.
All right.
If you can remind me where we were on the...
Yeah, we'd broken anyway, so it was an ad break. So if we can go to 18 minutes and 35 seconds, they talk about Ireland's economic crisis. It's about how Irish people can no longer...
Because I lost the video.
Huh?
If you can remind me where we were on the...
Yeah, we'd broken anyway, so it was an ad break. So if we can go to 18 minutes and 35 seconds, they talk about Ireland's economic crisis.
Why the fuck am I getting a feedback?
There's some earphones. Something weird is going on. Oh, it's you, is it? You have like infinite screens there in front of you.
Yeah, I'm showing people how it goes on and off. Yeah.
All right. Just, I've got there's 3 screens of us on screen. I'm getting feedback.
Okay, here we go. I found the video. So tell me the timestamp again.
18.
Just
35.
after the. Okay, 18. Yeah. 35. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Jeez. Oh, there we go. We're back off again.
Yeah.
So it's got nothing to do with Tucker Carlson. It's just a weird. We're in some kind of limbo in YouTube land. God, I mean, it's funny in its own way, you know. It really is. Oh, got the wrong one there. Sorry. There we go. All right, let's carry on as if nothing's happening, because nothing is happening.
To enroll for free.
Why is this muted?
So
Huh?
I don't know. I can't hear anything. Okay, unmute. My God, man, what's going on with my fucking PC? All right, here we go.
In the conversations I've had with people in Dublin, every single person I've talked to has said the same thing, which is Irish people can no longer afford houses. Their kids can't afford to get married, and their kids can't afford to have kids, and they can't afford to have kids. The Irish family of 12 children doesn't exist anymore, in part because no one can afford that. And yet your government is subsidizing immigrants to have kids.
Yeah.
So I do, and that's true in my country too, in Australia. And
I love that face that he gave.
Immigrants to have kids.
Yeah.
Give me fucking money or I'll batter you. That's right. I gave you that Coke wasn't free. First one was free, but the second you're supposed to pay that. I want me fucking money. End the story. I don't care if you're from America. I don't care how it works over there. I want me fucking money. Oh, you're dead, and your ma's dead too.
Yeah.
So I do.
What is with that?
I think he's zoned out. Like, it happens to the best of us, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, how long has it been here? It's basically been here for 6 hours now. Like, Jesus Christ. The fucking, yeah. The inauguration ceremony for the Masons is only 20 minutes. Like, how long was this go on for, Tucker? Yeah, so we're getting into, nobody can afford to have 12 children anymore.
Up to, since when? Like fucking 50 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting straight into stereotypes here. 12 kids. Fucking alcoholic father.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that bit from Monty Python's Meaning of Life, where in the fucking in the English town, there's the Protestants with no children on one side of the street, and then the Catholics with 20 fucking children.
Yeah, the magic of contraception. Yeah, but he's right. Like, it's well, I don't know if people could ever really afford to have children. I don't know when it became a financial consideration, considering that we had more children when we were poor. But it is a phenomenon. People go, oh, well, I can't afford to have children. Like, I think it's the bigger picture is this is people, well, I'm not going to own my own fucking house, so you're not going to have a family in your parents' box room, Yep, and it is affecting people. So people, career is more important. People will, delay it. Sure, I'll wait till I have the house, or rather, I'll wait till I have the mortgage. And then when they do have the mortgage, well, that's doesn't help at all, because then it's like, oh, well, Jesus Christ, I have this mortgage. So I'll wait until the mortgage paid off in my 60s, and then I'll rent a child, or not. But no, people aren't having children for a multitude of reasons. And finances is one of them. It's very hard to have a child and see the child if both people are out working, doing their 9 to 5, and then have a mortgage to furnish and everything else. And so it's like, oh, well, why would you have a child? If I have a child, one of us has to stop working at least for a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Then can we afford the mortgage? And then it's like, oh, well, actually, the mother decides, well, I don't really want to work. I want to look after the child. So they just go, do you know what? Let's just put it off. Let's wait until things are better. And unfortunately, things just haven't been getting better for people. It's just getting worse as the price of food goes up, the price of electricity and heating goes up, and everything else goes up. So people are rightly or wrongly saying, no, fuck it, we'll put children on the long finger. And then in the meantime, the government supports these people, supports them financially, and then they're popping babies like there's no tomorrow, because in part their religion says, go forth and multiply, have lots of fucking babies, keep going. And especially if you've got 6 or 7 wives, and you get a payment for each child you have. Well, then the message is, well, oh Jesus, have you seen this loophole in this country? You have children, and they pay you more money to have children, but the natives won't take advantage of it because, they're crippled with fucking mortgages. But we don't have to worry about that because we've been given favourable treatment, and we'll be put up on a hotel. We'll be given preference on a housing list. So if we play our cards right, wait a couple of months, they'll have their own subsidised house. And then because they've got 8 children, it will have to be, a 5 or 6 bedroom house. And then meanwhile, Paddy and Maureen grumble at home, saying, it's Conor McGregor stopping us from having children. The far right are stopping us from having children. So the situation won't get any better. But, and then the question is, do people really want to have children? Society's changed a lot, where it's like people can't see any real benefit in having children at all. And the lifestyle that's being promoted it's not, a family-friendly one. It's like, be the best you can be. Worship things. You shouldn't be having children. You should be on a jet somewhere. You should be waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, dipping your head in, sprinkling sparkled water, whatever the fuck it's called, with lemon juice in it, then going swimming, then going to the gym, then going to work, and coming home, partying with the girlfriends, and getting into your Ferrari, and then getting into the yacht, and then back up at 6 a.m. to do the whole thing again. And that's the lifestyle that's being promoted, and there's no time for dirty, rotten children in that image. But again, it seems unfortunately, to carry on a society and make it grow, you do need children to keep the whole fucking thing going. But apparently, it doesn't matter where those children are from. Irishness, ugh, what an outdated mode of thinking. It's just units we need, economic units. Fuck people, fuck nationalities and identities. That hinders the machine. So the new machine will be fully logical, rational machine with no room for emotion whatsoever. We will just need units, and the cheaper those units, the better, and the more productive those units are, the better. So if this Middle Eastern unit can produce 6 or 7 new units in a lifetime versus this old, redundant unit, which can barely produce 1 proper unit, well, then we'll go for the better, more efficient option.
Yep, that's where what it all comes down to. Yeah, should we carry on?
Yeah, you okay, Connor?
And that's true in my country.
Looking a bit sleepy there, Connor. Yeah, sorry, go play.
Too in Australia and New Zealand and Canada and the UK, like, what is that?
It's suicide is what it is. It's absolute suicide. And, it has to stop. That's it. It has to stop. Yeah, the rising cost of living is a national emergency.
Yes.
And, it has to stop. It has to. We say no. We built a toll bridge here in Ireland. We built toll bridges. They're sold to foreign companies. The funds of this goes to foreign companies. It's silly. It's ludicrous.
So the people of Ireland build something, and then your government sells it to foreigners, and then you have to pay for it.
Billions per annum. Billions in profit per annum. And people. Another thing, the traffic corps on Garda Síochána is one of the most successful divisions in.
I thought this was a bit of a weird direction to go in. However, I was like, wow, finally, a public figure who's speaking my language. Like these guys are the bane of my fucking existence, man, because there's nothing I love more than driving. And these guys are sharks in the ocean, making swimming a way less enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I thought it was that whole segment was odd. It looks like there's been like 6 or 7 cuts or something like so.
Yeah, when you said he was getting sleepy, I think maybe he just said, "Look, Tucker, I just zoned out there. Can you fuel me up again? Ask me another question."
Yeah, I need to do a line.
Yeah. Actually, I've noticed when you get the zoomed out shot, right, you have the 2 glasses of water.
Yeah.
One is the water, right? But then on Connor's side is probably a lager or something.
All right.
Or it couldn't be orange juice, could it?
I didn't even notice. Okay. Yeah. So where we went from, I can't even remember because it cut.
Yeah.
So it went from the. What was he talking about originally? It has to stop, doesn't it?
Yes, the cost of living crisis, which, I mean, he linked that to our diminishing production of children.
Yeah, and then toll bridges, wasn't it?
Yeah,
straight to toll bridges, like the price of the fucking, or the toll bridges were, originally it was a public-private partnership. So, public funds and private funds went into it, and then the private company got to keep the money from the tolls. Then the government bought the toll bridge back from the private company, but the government still charges its citizens the toll. So it collects this. A brilliant fucking scheme all around. Yeah, so I suppose it's a good example of how it works in Ireland. That, you get fucked.
Yeah, it's an excellent example of being fucked from every direction.
Yeah, and then that leads them into the traffic corps, the most successful Garda unit in existence because they're doing what they actually are supposed to do from a political level, which is to fucking extract more money from the peasants by having these ridiculous fucking laws where you can't drive above but what's it now, 100 kilometers and 60 kilometers 60, you may as well be cycling if you can't go 60 kilometers. Really?
I don't fucking get it, because everyone's still driving like they used to, except maybe one or two people every now and then I run into. But those guys, I think they're still the same guys that would be driving slow on like fucking 50 or 60 on an 80 fucking road. And I haven't seen any signs change. I'm confused. Is it like certain 80 zones are now 60, or is it all 80 zones, and then the 100 zones where you could just it's just nice big open roads between towns, 100 kilometers an hour, but now they're down to 80. I don't know, and I don't give a fuck. I'm still going to drive the way I'm driving, and if I see a van that's trying to catch me, I'll slow down to 20 kilometers an hour and hold my finger out of the fucking window. Just crawl past them. Just
I don't know either, because again, and it's staggered as well, isn't it? So the rule from 100 to 80 came into effect a couple of months ago, and then I think in either October or November this year, the 80 zone is going to go down to 60, which I can't do. Nobody can do that. It's you may as well not be driving. Like, if I drive from here in Wexford to Dublin, and one of the routes, there's two essential routes you can take, and one of the routes, if there's a large traffic jam, well, obviously I'm avoiding it. But then the other route, kind of half the time it's quicker, but there's a lot of country roads in it. And when I go from 100 to 80 already, it feels like I'm at a crawl. When I go from 80 to 60, it's painful. Like it takes any joy out of it at all. It's like, what is the actual point? And like you, where I live, none of the road signs have been changed. And so because the road signs haven't been changed, well then, in effect, the rule, it's not valid. They can't do you because the road signs haven't been changed. And that's how people generally have a clue of what the fucking speed limit's supposed to be, because, the road sign tells you.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe people need to get clever, and when the road signs do change, just put 50 quid aside, and just get stickers and change them back, and then
that's a great idea.
You can go to court and say, well, I didn't, what the fuck, look before your very eyes, it says 180. How was I to know? So many laws these days, you're changing them every 15 fucking minutes. I didn't know that the speed limit had not gone up to 180 kilometers an hour in a 60 kilometer an hour zone. So we're okay. We're now at so he's talking about the guards, and any criticism of the guards in Ireland, Jesus Christ, it's shocking. It's almost blasphemy to be criticizing the guards at all, but in particular the Garda traffic unit. Now I know Conor has many a speeding fine and likes the car, but I think he's making a bigger point. That the fact that we've got people being fucking stabbed on the streets in Dublin, almost a daily occurrence now. Women being raped, stabbed to death, people being beheaded, and the guards can't seem to do anything. It seems it takes 15 of them to arrest somebody, to bring somebody to the ground these days, but not the traffic unit. The traffic corps are on it, even on Twitter, any kind of parking fines, they're putting it up saying, look, we got this guy for parking in a red
on a footpath.
Oh
my God,
making big deals out of it. But again, that's only if you're Irish. If you're from outside the country, well then you seem to get
you can
get a pass.
Get away with a lot.
Taxed or insured, or
isn't it great?
But
back to the whole speed thing. Someone made a point on Facebook under one of the news articles about it. He said, "Look, this disadvantages people from the rural areas, because you guys in the cities have your motorways, and we're supposed to use these roads and just crawl through them, and that we're supposed to get to work and get to where we're going at these minute fucking speeds. It's what it is. It's a fucking war against independence and a war against the fucking rural side of the country. As we've seen over the decades, they fucking hate us out here.
Will you do me a favor? That the chat screen is still up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Could you put the kick link in there, and I'll just throw it in there in case anybody manages to come along.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me get that.
Yeah, is that why they named it kick? Is it for people who've been kicked off YouTube?
That's actually pretty. Oh, I did that with my personal account. That's not that's not advisable.
You did what with your personal account?
I did what you said, what you asked me to do with my personal account.
Oh. Cool. Excellent.
All right. Let's see if that popped up. It did. Okay. Yeah, it did. That's good.
I don't know. So Conor, he's going to talk to us about the Garda traffic unit. Sorry, you were saying there about driving in the countryside that is particularly unfair for people who live outside of Dublin or the commuter belt because they don't have the motorway infrastructure.
Yeah.
And again, these laws can only be implemented by people who don't actually have to drive anywhere, because it makes no sense. It's torture, really, for somebody to spend an hour in traffic in the morning, and then to add an extra 20 minutes on to that, and then the worry and the stress of, oh God, have I gone 5 minutes over? Or if you see the van and then it's like, oh God, I can only get 3 occurrences of speeding, and then you're not allowed to drive for the next 2 years, and then you have to find a couple of grand to pay for the fine, and then it could be the end of your career. Like, if you can't get your ass to work in the morning, if you live 20-30 kilometers away, you have to get up 2 hours earlier to cycle in or get on public transport. It's it seems trivial, but it's a serious fucking matter. Like,
and I Conor himself will elaborate on that.
In the Gardaí, in the police force, in our police force, for convictions, and it is the most successful, and it has caused untold stress unto the people of Ireland. I wonder the amount of suicides and the amount of lives lost and families destroyed over the stress of the traffic core institution with you get caught driving without tax, or no NCT, or it's all a money racket.
So just for not foreigners watching this, you're talking about parking and minor traffic violations.
You're put through the ringer, and now in this day and age, which is why it's so infuriating. And then we'll keep calm with it. But it's why people in Ireland are waking up, because everyone has felt it in some way, shape, or form. The stress of having to make sure that you're above board on this money racket is what it is.
So it's not to keep you safe; it's to steal money from you.
Not to keep you safe, but on this day and age now, we've got our new visitors to the island who get fully exempt from driving without tax, insurance, NCT, and even on Irish reg plates, free as a bird. Right through. After our nation
immigrants has
gone through the most stressful periods of our life, lives have been lost due to the stress caused of this branch in An Garda Síochána. And yet now our neighbours from other countries are moving here and with full exemption to drive around our roads with supercharged vehicles that have been imported on the taxpayers' dime. And then also even another crazy statement is, if something happens to your vehicle, if you're a nice friendly visitor or potential new member of our country, you get your vehicle repaired at a cost to the state. So it is just ludicrous, and the people of Ireland are rising up to it. We're just being awakened to it, and that's it. As we awaken, we're noticing.
Wait, is what you said real?
That's very, very real. Very, very.
I loved hearing Tucker's response to that. I'm sure he's heard that before if he's been in Ireland for 5 minutes, which he has been. But I loved that foreigners' reaction to the fact that, yeah, we just repair these fucking Ukrainians' cars.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? Like, sure? Like, what?
He's probably thinking, Jesus, we don't actually have it that bad back home.
Yeah, it's like this place is a fucking is banana land. Yeah, you might want to keep that quiet. Like, you'll have everybody who needs a car repair coming to Ireland with their Banjack's car. Yeah, so again, like that service is available to all Irish people. Really, they can, try to avail of it. So I think it falls under the exceptional needs payment with our very generous social welfare. But I don't think any Irish person has had the brass balls to actually think that they could go down to the local social welfare office and say, "Hey, you know what? My car is knackered. Any chance of a payout here to fix it?" Most people, it would be the case of. And I've looked at the statistics for this as well. So it will be a case of, there's a funeral or something like that, and they can't afford the coffin or they can't afford new suits. And so then they'll go to the relieving officer and they'll say, okay, well, here's a check for, a couple of €100. Go and get it sorted out. And I suppose you could say, well, that's a bit extravagant, but that's the point of our social welfare system, is that, you pay into it through your taxation in the event that at some stage you fall on hard luck. And so there is a safety net there to protect you, and also as a social bribe. So, people who have nothing and have no prospect of ever having anything don't chimp out and start killing people and robbing them of their possessions, But when news of that, and especially if you've no loyalty to a country in the first place, and you come here, and then, you've come from a country that, is a poor country, doesn't have a social welfare system, or if they do, it's of, little benefit to them. And then they hear of this, what? You just go into the office, you give them a sob story, and they start writing you checks, and you can get money for this and money for that. So of course they will chance their arms, and then you can look on social media and see, many of these foreign dudes giving out the advice. And if you ever want to know how the social welfare system works in Ireland, just talk to an African. Like, they should be, they do better work than the Citizens Advice Bureau. They know every single loophole, trick in the book, how to get money for this, how to get money for that. And they will be as nice as pie. If you're ever in the social welfare office and you hear them talk to people, it's always yes, sir, no, sir. Oh, thank you very much, sir. And, almost doing the tap dance, giving the wide eyes. And generally, the people who work in social welfare, they're, for lack of a better word, they would be woke or progressive. A lot of them anyway. And then they're kind of sick to their teeth of dealing with poor Irish people who come in with shitty attitude, it's like, fuck you, and there's a reason they have bulletproof glass. Social welfare,
I've seen incidents before in years ago. I saw one incident years ago in the Galway place. And I was thinking, I understand why the glass is there.
So there's an element of that, and again, when people hear that, people availing of this, like, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous because it's supposed to be an exceptional needs payment. So it's not an exceptional need if your, car needs a replacement engine. That's not the spirit of why the social welfare system was set up. It's to cover basic needs. Now, I suppose you can make an argument, oh, well, I can't get the children to school or this or that or whatever, but I've never heard of anybody having their engine replaced by social welfare or car replaced. And the anomaly is that most of the time, unless it's a mechanical fault, but generally your insurance will cover most eventualities. But it just so happens that for our Ukrainian friends, there's an exemption. for having your vehicle insured and taxed, so you can't claim from the insurance company because the vehicle doesn't need to be insured in the first fucking
There
place.
is no company.
Yeah. So, so then it's like, oh, well, we can't leave this poor guy without a car. Oh, sure, the state will just pick up the tab for it, And I suppose you can have some sympathy if it's a mother with, 4 kids and she has a shitty car from 92 or something like that.
A ladder.
Yeah, but if it's some dude with a BMW that's 5 years old, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? It sickens people,
Yeah, the patience is quickly wearing out in this country for anyone, and mine is gone, absolutely gone. I don't care about anyone. Fuck off. Like, I don't know. I'm just in a bad mood. Listening to Conor McGregor and then watching those scenes from Kulak and then getting fucking kicked off of YouTube. I'm gassed up, man.
Yeah, that's why we're not allowed to have weapons. If we had, there'd be a knock on Howard's door now, and it'd be like just 2 bullet holes in the doorway. I don't care who you are. I'm sorry, mother. I didn't realize it was you. But yeah, that's the general mood. People are pissed off, and rightly so. And it won't take much. It wouldn't take much of a spark. And if Conor was to lead the way, and hang a couple of people at the march on the 26th, it could all. But seriously, that's all it would take is one further spark. We've had a couple so far. But one big spark, and then it's done for.
We're off to the races. Yeah. Because it every time it gets more intense. The state knows this. They fucking know.
Yeah, and like Conor said, we're a peaceful people, but we're not a harmless people. It takes a lot to push us, but when pushed too far, well, then it's bloody hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a saying about Russian people, and I thought, wow, that sounds just like the Irish. In a lot of ways, we share similarities with those people, and it's the Russian is slow to saddle, but quick to gallop. And that's the Irish too. It just takes a while. That's all. Shall we carry on?
Yeah, let it run there.
Real, and it's
how can they justify
they cannot. There is no justification. You know what there is? Silence, and that doesn't work. You cannot be silent on this. Like I said, you're not going to get off ruining Ireland or ripping off Ireland. Never in a million years.
But if they're paying foreigners to have kids, well, you can't afford to have kids. If they're shaking you down with the armed police, but allowing foreigners a pass, if they're paying to fix foreigners' cars but not yours, they hate you and they're trying to kill you, right?
It's an erasure. It's an attempted erasure of our people. That is it. I could have went all that way.
Stop it. That was a bit of a segue. That was a bit of a jump there from, traffic cops to they're trying to kill you. Yeah. So just to correct Hooker, the traffic corps aren't armed. For a start, they're just not. So that's factually incorrect. But so I suppose they have to segue into the genocide somehow. So this is the segue into the genocide that, if your government, if they're not looking out for you and they're favouring other people and prioritising them, well, then it's not too far of a stretch, is it, to say, well, these people don't actually want me.
You have to be fucking a retard not to know that. Once you have all of the information in front of you, unless you agree that according to the Geneva Convention that what we're experiencing is a genocide, I'm sorry, but you're a fucking retard and I have no time for you. And I hope that this was so expertly put, for someone of Conor McGregor's condition, it should be undeniable. The reaction of anyone watching this should be on the level of, Tucker Carlson, who, he's moving the conversation along and amping it up, but I think his reaction is real, because he seems to have done next to no research into Conor McGregor or anything that's been happening to him over the past few years. So I think he's genuinely hearing this shit for the first time.
Yeah, I think with everything, again, it's not a new script. So you go to any country, any English speaking country or any Western country, for that matter, or as Kai would put it, anywhere on the Occident, and you see the same scripts being played out, where indigenous populations being sidelined and replaced by more compliant and grateful populations from around the world. And I think the people who can see it is because they're fixated on the genocide in places like Palestine, where it's more of a traditional, visceral genocide of bombs being dropped and people being crushed by tanks and shot in the head. When they look around, well, I don't see any bombs here. I don't see any, genocide. I don't see people being, pulled out of their houses or being dispossessed by their land in a traditional sense. So for those guys, it's okay, well, I like this kind of genocide. It's not as obvious. Granted, it meets the criteria of the Geneva Convention, but it's not bloody and apparent enough for me yet, and it's not really affecting me. So therefore, I choose not to ignore it, I suppose, but they just can't see it or comprehend it.
It really does take something feckin' brutal to make people think, oh, this is genocide. Like Palestine, that's genocide. But not Armenia and what the Azerbaijanis are doing to Armenia. What happened to the people of Nagorno-Karabakh, was it last year or the year before? Time flies. Where they just kind of said, oh yeah, this is ours now, we're taking over. And then they just kind of, fucking bum rushed the place, and 100,000 Armenians had to leave their homes. But, fucking crickets, man. Nothing. Because there wasn't any blood spilled. It was just brute force and the threat of violence. And isn't that what we're experiencing here?
Yeah, early stages of it. So. Yep. Okay.
Right.
Where are we? 22. We may as well just let it play for a bit.
Okay.
Way in the White House, I had to climb. You go incrementally up, right? You go in. Hey, you talk about a genocide. This is the genocide of our people.
Obviously.
But you got to climb it right. So we're getting there, and awareness is being made, and we'll make the moves. And there's many great people. In fact, the majority of the Irish people are great people. Majority are great people.
I agree with
doing
that.
Great things for our nation. And the pressure and the awareness we're putting on our government elite is causing slight changes. They're doing certain things to appease. However, how genuine that is, how much of a facade that is, we're skeptical. Our trust is at an all-time low. And, you see we walk the length and breadth of the Dublin city capital, and it's love and, cheer and support. Not one politician under any party can do the same. And that is a shame. And I don't understand why Ireland, we are the greatest supporters. If you do good by Ireland, Ireland will do good by you. And none more is that evident than in myself. Yes. We are the greatest supporters in the world, they say. How our politicians do not wish to receive this love, I do not understand it. Fundraising efforts will begin, and there will be a large fund built into this where we're going to really take back our country. And that's it. Funds are needed. Money is needed.
Is anybody, so you've made I think...
If I think about these tariffs, what's going on right now, their money dries up and they're panicking about their money, our government elite, our money rises up. And that is an exciting thing for the people of Ireland to hear. And that's what this is.
What do you think he means by that? I think it makes sense where, yeah, if the government goes broke or the corporations move away, that's a lot of fucking revenue, So he's thinking he's going to be more powerful than the government.
Yeah, yeah, maybe like it will benefit any movement, like so. Especially those people who are kind of refuse to see it or are intransigent, and it's not affecting them directly. Because people being people, you will worry about yourself and your own first, like especially when it comes to your financial well-being. So if you're employed either directly or indirectly in some level of foreign direct investment, be it the pharmaceutical company or the medical tech devices, or it's a large enough sector in Ireland. Essentially, we're fucked without foreign direct investment. What's it like? Something like 60% of our taxes come from 6 companies, mostly tech companies. So if that's gone, well, then that's a big problem for everybody, because not only does it affect the people who are employed in those industries, it has a knock-on effect beyond that. And then the whole economy contracts. People have to go on social welfare. Government has to react to that. And then there's a cascade effect. So, everybody who's on social welfare, which in some way, shape or form is a lot of people in Ireland, that gets slashed. People, there's no other industry really for people to go into. They can't suddenly, okay, well, now I'm going to, do delivery for the local chipper, because you've got like fucking 20 people lining up already to do that, and we've imported a ton of cheap labor already. So even the local paperboy jobs have been scooped up for the last 20 years, because we import a lot of foreigners, and they take up anything that's going, because they can't move into skill employment. So those people then will have to go on the dole, and then there'll just be a mass movement where it's like, okay, we need to get rid of this government. Something needs to change. Something desperately needs to change. And then it's like, okay, well, I don't like this guy, or I don't like that particular party, but because things are so bad, there's no other option. How that transfers into wealth for him and the movement, I'm not really entirely sure. I can't see the average citizen donating to some sort of political movement fronted by McGregor. I know he had plans with his meme coin that didn't work out. But again, it can only be through outside influence. Like, I know he has a lot of money himself. We don't know who he's mixing with in the background, or what people have money beyond him. I can't see the benefit really for outside backers to get behind.
It would have to be ideological. It'll have to be ethnic pride. The Irish Americans back, in the States. Tucker is clearly a lifeline to, he's hanging out with, actors.
How is Tucker on the Zionist front? Like, I don't know.
He's in the club. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then he has access to that stream of income or money as well. Then.
And the Masons. Like, come on, let's be real. This isn't a fucking. This isn't a mistake. They didn't just happen to. Oh yeah. That's actually close to the airport or the hotel I'm in or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just a deliberate choice. So there is money there. We don't need to worry about funding him ourselves. I don't.
And the king tattoo is almost on his head. It's on his neck. So it's almost there. It's. Kingdom Rising.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess also if you can support one of McGregor's pubs, if you have, like, especially if it's a toss up between Witherspoon's and McGregor's pub, you go to McGregor's pub and give him your money and buy his stout.
Yeah, stop drinking Guinness and Beamish.
Yeah, I stopped drinking Guinness, what was 2 months ago. Not that I do it often, but I've decided that I won't. Not even on tap at the pub. No, not a fucking chance. No, they've fucked us around too much. Yeah, he'll get into that, by the way.
Yeah. You have to get the advertising in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Where be 24, 16. Okay. Yeah. We may as well keep going.
Okay.
My funds are infinite, and I'm all in for the country of Ireland, and I've got incredible backing from your country and other countries that wish to support our cause. And it's a real movement for change.
So let me ask you,
what are these other countries? What other countries could that be?
Israel.
I mean, like, but it's not France anyway.
No. So it's got to be who's the likely country? So we got to go Israel.
Qatar, maybe.
No, I couldn't. No, I doubt that. I doubt that. I think they're more on the government side. The government has been courting Qatar and that part.
I don't know. You know, he could come out as Muslim in a few weeks. You know,
he would be fucking buried. Like he's more better chance of coming out fucking as a Jew than as a Muslim at this stage in the game. So we got to go Israel, Russia, perhaps, maybe. I don't know. Hungary. Yeah, I'd put it all in on Israel. Like it's if I was at the casino and given his connections to the States, like it's got to be Israel. And again, there's a big isn't the evangelical movement and they're all Christian Zionists as well in the States, and I think the people who back Ben Shapiro, the brothers, I can't remember their name, but they're very wealthy Texans who've I think the oil business as well. They essentially bankroll Ben Shapiro. So yeah, I'd imagine that's where the money's going to come from, if it's coming at all. Will be from that part of America and Israeli interests as well. And maybe Conor will be the one to bring back the Israeli ambassador, or he'll have to go. He'll have to go to Israel, won't he? He'll have to put the tiny hat on, go to the Wailing Wall.
Actually, he beat you to it. Actually, I'm sorry to say. He's already.
That's not fucking real.
I tried to get Grok to make it where he was crying, touching the Wailing Wall, but no dice.
No. Yeah, there will come a time when we won't be able to tell. It will be a video. Yeah. It's got his ear right. It got the cabbaging or the cauliflower. The cabbaging, the cauliflower ear right. Yeah, it was a pretty cabbage.
Yeah, his ear is actually it's identical to almost identical to how it actually looks. Yeah,
but we wouldn't be surprised if we saw this in the near future. Let's be honest. So
yeah, let's be honest about it. And would we be in a position to complain? No,
that's how bad things are. Like,
yeah. Oh, jeez. All right. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man. No wonder we're kicked off YouTube.
Yeah. Well,
So a lot of political movement, or one political movement in particular in Ireland, had support from rich Irish Americans for years. The Republicans, the nationalists here, had support from donors in the United States. Do you think Irish Americans in the U.S., a lot of whom are rich, understand what's happening to this country?
No, for sure. And when I seen Micheál Martin, our Taoiseach, our rotating Taoiseach, grace the Oval Office on March 12th, 5 days before St. Patrick's Day, 5 days before myself, I saw softball. I saw a game of softball by Vice President Vance and President Trump, and almost a little bit of pandering to him, being safe with him, because you cannot be seeing. I'm sure that's 40 million Irish Americans, and that vote is very strong for the administration. You know, you need that on strong.
Yeah.
You need that on side. So they couldn't be seen, although their feelings are well known. You know, they're well against what's going on here in this country. They could not be seen to be tearing through an Irish delegate on the St. Patrick's week. So they played it correct. And then when I seen this, I said, okay. And I got my call to go and show up. I said, I'm going to highlight this to the Irish American people. This is what's really going on. You know, some people are saying, hey, I'm from Wexford. I'm from Wexford. My grandmother's from Wexford. I said Wexford was the sunny southeast, is what we used to call Wexford. Well, we do call it a holiday destination. It is now no more. There is no hotels available in Wexford. They're all transferred into IPAS centres, which are International Protection Applicant Services. It's this racket where they're all getting housed.
I love how he minds his speech.
Yeah.
You know, he let one slip, and he was like, "Sorry about that," and then he was on the edge of saying "fucking," like it's YouTube and X, man.
For an Irish person, it's almost impossible. Like it really is. Like I was proud of him actually. Like
yeah, because you know, considering his drug history and all that, you know, it's like it's not easy to keep a hold of your mind.
Keep his clothes on is a fucking mystery alone. Like he's has to whip that jacket off and just sitting there in a wife beater. But to hold back with the fucks and the cons and amazing. Like it's actually something I've been trying to do as well. So I have to get in touch, ask him how he's done it.
Yeah, channel your inner McGregor. Yeah. Are we back on YouTube? No.
Yeah. What must we do? YouTube.
An office block. It is a hotel.
Oh.
It is even a school.
Fuck, sorry.
There's even schools now.
Jesus Christ, man. I'm having a hard time controlling YouTube right now.
Yeah. What's happening? Oh, yeah. So he's saying, you know, we've moved to Wexford now. So, yeah, all the hotels in Wexford are been turned into IPAS centres. So it's good to see he's watching my channel. He's been following me as my exploits around Wexford.
Also in Ireland,
yeah, but he's not entirely wrong. It's a situation that's been, you know, repeated throughout the country. A lot of the hotels have been turned into IPAS centres because it's more profitable in the short term for the hotel providers. Tourism is dying on its arse. Again, in turn has an effect on local economies.
It was already in a bad shape. Like.
Yeah, since this, it's like, you know, even if people who want to come here can't because they can't get a hotel. And then if you do turn up in a hotel and half of it's been dedicated to house refugees, you know, it's going to have an effect on your holiday. And that's not to blame the refugees directly because nobody can live in a fucking hotel for more than a couple of weeks without you going stir crazy, unless you have a penthouse suite to yourself. But to put not just one person in a hotel room for, you know, an extended period of time, but to put multiple people who may not even know each other into that environment, like hotel rooms, you know, they're not the most spacious places on the planet. Even the fucking 4 and 5 star ones, you know, they're tiny. You go bananas after a couple of hours, like being stuck in that environment, you know. So yeah, again, the holiday industry is dead. It doesn't just have an effect on the economy; it has an effect on Irish people as well. Because traditionally, Irish people would have went to places like Wexford for their summer holidays. You know, if they couldn't afford to go abroad, well, then it'd be a case of, okay, we'll go down to the caravan park or the local hotel, or, you know, book something, a cottage for a week or two. But that's it was dying anyway with the event of cheap holidays to Spain and Greece and places like that. But it's now completely it's dead and buried because all that accommodation has been scooped up to house refugees, and you know, they're not going anywhere. There's no stem in the flow of new arrivals. So if they are housed, or when they are housed rather, well, then there's a plethora of new arrivals. Which you may have found our filler word there for that dreaded word that we can't say on YouTube. So we have a new N word, new arrivals. But yeah, I don't think YouTube will keep us around long enough to use it anyway. Right, so where are we in time? 26. 07. Yeah, we'll carry on till around the 27-minute mark, and then we'll skip to the 30-minute mark.
All right.
It's this racket where they're all getting housed. It is an office block. It is a hotel. It is even a school. It is even schools now are being transferred into these
filled with immigrants.
Filled with immigrants, yes. So Wexford, Russell Airport is another port.
I know the way he said that. Yeah. The immigrants.
Where's?
Where's? Oh man, I love that character. Out of context, that just sounded awful.
Irish people are not what we're talking about.
Yeah, we have to play him on the break. Yeah, Fast Eye, wasn't it?
No, it's the Irish dude, Michael Savage or something. Is it?
Savage Eye, right? Yeah, the Savage Eye. Yeah. Good show.
Yes. So Wexford, Russell Airport is another port where they arrive in, and they're in County Wexford, which used to be the sunny southeast, a beautiful holiday destination, is now without a hotel in the county. They've all been transferred into international protection.
Why doesn't someone overthrow the government?
Here?
Yeah, I mean, that's like...
Wow. I mean, that's
sedition right there.
Yeah. I mean, he can say that because he's going home soon.
No, he can't. Why doesn't someone just, have you thought about it? It's easy, isn't it? You just,
Yeah. That's what we need, right? We need more Americans coming over here and then saying, hey, guys, why don't you just, overthrow the government? Yeah, and then suddenly, over time, we will get the idea of actually, that might work.
I hadn't considered that. Okay. You wouldn't happen to give us a land of a couple of 1,000 AR-15s and bullets and a couple of million euros, even dollars, just to fund it. That kind of support would be helpful. Then logistics, knowledge, safe houses, all that kind of stuff. But I think many people have not considered it, but it's entered their thought process that why hasn't the government been overthrown? It's because everybody's waiting for someone else to fucking do it, and nobody has the wherewithal to pull it off. And generally, people don't want to spend 20 years in prison, even for just raising the prospect. Let's see how Conor reacts like his.
Station is now without a hotel in the county. They've all been transferred into international protection.
Why doesn't someone overthrow the government?
Here?
Yeah, I mean, that's like an act of war against your country. I mean, I shouldn't say that to you because I don't want to get you in trouble.
I'm statesmanlike.
But
I'm statesmanlike. I'll say this. We are peaceful. We are not harmless.
In a normal country, people wouldn't put up with that.
We move under God, and we let God guide us. We're capable of many things. We're capable of many things as a great nation, as a great people. And we move under God.
Boy, you've heard a lot.
Okay, he's waiting for the word from God.
Right.
As soon as God gives the okay, we're good to go. But yeah, I can see the newspapers already. I can see the fact-checking machine kicking into operation here, where we'll start with the guards, wasn't it? The armed guards, so there'll be no mention of anything else that was said in this entire interview. So the Journal, I think they're getting a new round of funding. Facebook pulled the money on the Journal for their fact-checking credentials. But I think this new machine that's been put in place, they're going to be given money again. I know they were on the steering committee for the disinformation task force. It's so fucking bizarre to even say it. But yeah, they'll be fact-checking that and every other tiny discrepancy. Oh, what's this? Oh.
Tucker Carlson's interview, pushing all buttons, blowing all dog whistles, telling multiple untruths. Which untruths? I swear to God, when he said in the White House press room that some towns are outnumbered by immigrants, that's fucking true. That's absolutely on paper true. Multiple little towns overrun, but the media came out and fact checked that. We're living in 1984. Only the Ministry of Truth doesn't have complete control over the flow of information, but they're working on it. They want it to be like North Korea, right, where you don't. There's a newspaper that the government puts out, right, but it's not a newspaper you can take home. They're in these perspex boxes on the street, right, and you can read them, right. But depending on what the government wants to tell you at any given time, the new edition will come out, and it might contradict the last edition. But you can't prove that. You can't convince anyone of that because you don't have the newspaper from yesterday. That's what they're working on.
Yeah, we'll have a further look at that down the road as well, about the plans for this new commission. I don't think they're not going to enact legislation. That would be, they can't do that because they promised they wouldn't push any further with the hate crime legislation. But they're issuing recommendations.
All right.
So they've 9 recommendations. So we'll do a show on that. We can't fit it in tonight because it would be.
What the fuck is a recommendation?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
They recommend this and then it will be carried out, but it's not legislation. It's just
Oh, wow.
It's like it's a charge, not a tax. So it's a recommendation, not legislation. It rhymes, just so people aren't confused. But RTA are already at it. Have you seen RTA have their new Clarity fact checking machine? So so the people who are fact checking it's the same people who issue all the lies. So RTA will fact check on behalf of the nation now with their Clarity. So anytime there's any misinformation, the RTA Clarity team kicks into effect. So they have articles on RT now, Clarity articles, which clarify the lies. And they're all like fucking 12,000 word. No one's going to read them. Like nobody in the right mind would fucking read it to begin with. But nobody's going to sit through, a small novel.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm more confused now than I was to begin with.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Let's not give them any constructive criticism here.
No, we need more words, or it's not enough.
Yeah. There we go. By the way, we have 3 viewers on Kick. I want to say that if you're not originally from Kick, watching our stream in the wild, dude, your microphone is buzzing all day randomly. Some way that you're moving. Yeah. Now you're muted. If you're new to Kick, please sign up. It's a great platform. Also, that way you can click the follow button on our channel and help us get recognized. You are muted for some reason.
Okay,
I don't know
can you hear
why.
me now?
Okay, you're back now, and perfect. Cool. All right. So I just had to mention that we're on Kick, and if you are watching us on Kick, then sign up.
Yeah, do. Okay. Where are we on this? 28. So skip to 30 minutes and 14 seconds. So Conor is going to talk about stemming the flow of immigration, as per President Trump, and he talks about basically the fact that Ireland's small communities have been flooded with immigrants. He talks about examples like Carna and the Gaeltacht in Galway, and then Tucker. I think he mentions Knock, not by name, but infers about the plans to plant a load of immigrants in one of the holiest, quote unquote, holiest places in Ireland.
Yeah, it's all very vague, this language. Like when Conor McGregor, by the way, I'll preempt this. When Conor McGregor says Gaeltacht, nothing from Tucker. He didn't say what's that, you know. But I'm
no, I think looking at the facial expressions on Tucker at times, I think he's just completely fucking lost. It's just like it's kind of huh. So I don't know if he can't understand what he's saying.
Or, you know, the guy, you know, 9 times out of 10 or 19 times out of 20 isn't actually answering his questions. You know, he's just talking. Because I think that's what he does. Is he just says whatever the fuck he likes. Look, I have this massive dick and I have these massive muscles. I'm going to say whatever I like.
Oh, that's...
Why is this... Oh, fuck you, man. I hate this fucking garbage.
That's the truth of it. It's a globalist agenda.
I know it is.
So for me, if I get in, I'm going to be exerting my influence to turn off the tap. If you think about what Trump has done, they're actually stopping coming in because it's not there no more. The gravy train isn't there no more. What is there is actually resistance, you know, and that's where it's at. Now there is there's compassion for me. There's compassion. I employ people from all walks of life. So there is a compassion element. Many people have emigrated here, have done great things for our country. And that has to be highlighted also. But it's like at a stage now where the great people who have come here and emigrated and contributed greatly to our society are now feeling the strain of and are feeling the wrath almost because of this social unrest. It has to stop. It has got to stop, you know, and we're at our limit with it. We are really at our limit with it. How the next few years go, it's worrisome. It is worrisome. This EU pact, this EU migration pact, that as a president I could get in and I could really rattle it and put it to a stop, push to stop it, which would be the main thing. Trying to now hurry it through, which if it goes through, it's like 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. It's an unlimited number that we'll have to take. It's on the orders of...
And move all around your country, right, into small towns. This is what they've done in the United States. They move them into small towns around the country, so then your country's gone and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
Are they doing that here?
Yeah, there's counties overrun right now. There's a county in Ireland, Carna. It's a Gaeltacht county. It's a Gaeltacht town. And there's more IPAS centre. It was a home for the Ukrainians, and now it's being altered into an IPAS centre. And it's one of the last places of our language. And that is feeling an influx of it. And there's, you know, the people are out in the streets against it. So it is happening in counties all over Ireland for sure. And with this EU migration pact,